up, everybody? This is KARAK with ACG, and I'm here with Abzy for the best gaming podcast. I think it's 436. I'm going to check. It is 436. You guys missed us last week. I apologize. I thought it was just us and that we had some issue on my side. And then later on in the day, I found out that, well, pretty much everything went down from Discord to YouTube. There was all kinds of issues with the internet itself. So I guess just as always, I was first in the list for getting hammered by shit. So we ended up just opening it up to Spotify and iTunes. So if you missed it, that is when it is next week, or that is where it is. Sorry, for last week, and all the others always go on iTunes, Spotify. What is it? Google Podcasts, podcast.net, Podbean, bean.net, MySpace.
Do people use all those?
Space.
I guess it's good to diversify, but do people use all those?
Yeah, I see a lot of them pop up.
Spotify not like absorb Spotify and iTunes?
Spotify gets a lot, but I think Spotify has a lot of issues where it's like you need an account, you need this, you need that. You can go to TuneIn Radio and just say ACG and it works. You can go to your Amazon device and say play ACG and it knows the last podcast and it just starts. So it's like, I think
much simpler.
It doesn't even have to be ACG. I'm just saying as long as the podcast is up in general places, that's how it's going to pop up. So, but I do want to say once again, thanks to Johnny and Silver. We had a blast talking. We talked about a bunch of stuff. We just decided to say screw it and record it and cancel that podcast. So it'll take us a couple weeks to probably get back up to that level again. But I definitely appreciate you guys tweeting out that we're doing this. We're going to talk about the Sony leaks. I'm going to control some of what I talk about. Some of it's already out, but we'll discuss the impact more for companies investigating one another, trying to figure out what each other are doing. This is how the FTC leaks affected all the other companies. Now Sony's got hit, or / Insomniac. Love the games. $2 super chat. Just woke up, so this is perfect timing. What's up, man? Thank you for streaming yesterday with us in the Patreon Discord. By the way, everybody, if you are a part of the Patreon Discord and you don't stop by very often, if you have in the last 2 weeks, you probably noticed we have like 12 to 24 people sometimes in chat doing streams. So if you want to stream a game, hang out, it can be any game. Feel free to jump in. Let's read some of these. Let's see. I got my notification this week, Zachary says. Big Mac says Bobby Kotick should have been appointed head of Xbox gaming division. Starfield really showed that Xbox needs a complete shakeup in that department.
You chose Bobby Kotick? Oh my goodness.
That's a take, but that's also Big Mac. You never know. Big Mac says he was joking a lot, and I can never tell if he just says that afterwards.
He's fucking with us. This is British dry humor.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. Let's see. Matt says, would be cool to hear some takes on big VR releases. Well, you should see up there in our chat, or in our name of the title of this podcast, that is what we're going to talk about. So once again, tweet out that we're doing this. It should go live into people's feeds in the next 5 or 10 minutes. And let's begin. First, what have you been playing?
So I've been sick and I sprained my ankle. So I've been like laying back on my seat and shit and just playing controller games. So I put on Red Dead and just walking around. I spent like an hour just fucking collecting plants and shit, and another hour trying to catch a horse, you know, just doing stupid shit and chilling out. Prior to that, I was playing Warhammer. Yeah, but
you were doing some League of Legends too, weren't you?
I played some League with Wannabe Dev. He's a dude from the Discord. We're playing some ARAMs. Yeah, it's still a shit game, so nothing's changed.
Yeah,
so it's fun.
Played it. Absolutely nothing has changed. Let's see, for this week, what have I been playing? We did a bunch of finals in the stream, which was awesome. Did a bunch of Hunter with some people, and then mostly played by myself. I still streamed it, but I played a lot of it single because everybody who jumps into the Hunter takes forever to figure out the rules. I watched Jay play, and my God, dude. I mean, I don't know if he thought elk were going to come after him, but he was playing it like Call of Duty, so he'd shoot a deer and then go
running, finding shit. Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to walk slowly so that you can see the special effect of the deer trail. Okay, full speed. And I'm like, dude, this is not going to work. And he lost like 3 animals in a row. He finally got them last night. I woke up in the middle of the night and looked, and it looks like he had actually caught one, which was hilarious. But
game requires patience, man.
Yeah, it requires patience. Like it's a different style
for hours, fucking doing the little bird calls and shit, you know?
Yeah, spraying yourself with elk urine. As somebody who's had elk urine sprayed in their eyes at 5 a.m., I know that pain. So I know somebody may not want to play that. No, it's not good. It does stink because they pee on themselves all the time. So that's how you cover your scent, is by spraying yourself with elk urine. So you smell like the elk. And let me tell you, You ever been around horses? You know how horses stink.
Yeah.
They've got it's like that,
You
except
got that barn
dirty
stink,
almost.
right?
Yeah, barn stink. Except like humans clean horses, and nobody's out there, scratching the elk down or whatever, brushing. There's no winter fairy out there like flowing around, brushing down the elk. So, let's see what else. What else has been played? I'm still doing not Housekeeper.
Oh, dude, House Flipper 2.
House Flipper
I played
2,
a ton of that. I'm pretty sure I'm almost done with all the jobs. I love these assembly things, dude. I've been doing all the jobs because I want all the assembly things so I can get all the discounts. Those are really fun to chill out on.
Smart move on their part.
Yeah, I like it's way more. You do way more activities than one.
Yeah.
You have way more things to do, which is really, really cool. I also found out with one for as far as missions go, it's mostly like cleaning. But in this one, you do a lot of like deconstruction and painting.
Yeah,
and
it felt
changing
like there was more. You could say there's more going on in this one.
Yeah.
Just from
did you see the streamer house? There's like a streamer house as one of them.
I think I told you about that. If you're talking about the one that somebody made a comment about, it looks like somebody's
there
streamers.
Was like Twitch chat.
Oh no, I'm talking about the one that was really dirty, and somebody said it's like their streamer.
Okay.
I'm not going to say the streamer's name, but you know.
Yeah. No, it was like a full on. You could see Twitch chat and then and shit like that.
Yeah. I did see that. You're right.
There was another one in Ready or Not, which is a SWAT game that the 1.0 came out, so I tried out. And there's new missions and stuff, and one of them is a streamer house. And then how streamers get swatted and stuff. You go in because you're swatting, and then you can see also Twitch chat, and you can stand in front of the camera, and they're like, "What the fuck? This is crazy. What the hell are these guys doing here?" Blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that they've done a good job just sort of identifying like what worked from the first one, but making the second one a little bit more depthy. Like the assemblies sound like such a dumb small ad. They're probably one of the best ads in the game. The first one may have had it, but it's been ages since I played, and I don't remember it hitting that well. I just like assembling things that aren't the house stuff, and it's like here's a desk and you're moving, and they didn't just cheat it out and have you standing in front of one desk. It's like you might have a desk, then go to a wall, post the frame on the wall, then grab something else, and it just feels more like
you gotta put the correct part in, know.
Yeah, and you can fuck up the hammering, like if you hit it too hard. There's just little things to that game that are awesome. And then let's see, we jumped into a bunch of games. I think we're gonna do some Fire Pro wrestling in the next couple days. But yeah, stream chat, or Discord chat, man. I want to thank you guys. It's been phenomenal the last 2 weeks. We've had just a crap load of people. Discord lets you multi-stream, and they fixed the codec so it works really well. And so you can go in there and have, admittedly, your CPU goes pretty high, so I've told people to go to like 720p 30 because it's a small screen. You're not looking at everybody's Discord screen at full speed size anyway. So we started restricting it because my CPU usage, I was watching 5 people and streaming this finals, and my CPU usage was just 100%. It never went down. I was like, and I was getting like frame rate drops.
Streaming on Discord is super heavy on the CPU.
Well, it's somewhat heavy on the CPU, yeah, for sure, unless you control it. But the big thing was 5 streams. So in the past, that would have been impossible. But now they fixed the codec, so it's more possible. But still, you got to sort of control it. But it was just a phenomenal time. Like, we stayed up. I mean, I woke up super early one day, and we played for like 24 hours. And then the next day, we played for 18. Wannabe was in there super late. He's playing around because his partner's gone. So when she comes back, I'm sure he'll play less. But there is just people streaming all kinds of stuff. It was really fun. Had all kinds of cool discussions. So I just want to say thanks to the patrons. That lifted me up. Not that I was down, but it was a cool change to the occasional rat-a-tat-tat that happens in a Discord chat versus everybody jumping in and being excited. Speaking of that, let's get past this bullshit. Okay. Let's do a super chat, and then we'll jump into the first. So, Brandon Martin, $5 super chat. Hey, KARAK, I got a Quest 2 for $249. Have any game recommendations? RE4 on the Quest 2 is legit. Contractors is great. The problem with the Quest is that some of the games, if you're doing the Quest itself and not streaming from a PC, the graphics ones I'm talking about are from the PC, so I'm trying to think of games. I mean, Starfleet, Star Trek, whatever, Starfleet Bridge Commander, I think, is awesome. Contractors is awesome. Pavlov and Contractors are both shooters.
Got good reviews. Got
Yeah,
really
but it
good
got
reviews.
good reviews on the 3, right? So I don't know what it looks like
Oh,
on the
gotcha.
because he said 2,
that's
so
it.
I'm just trying to.
Right.
It did get really good reviews. I just don't know if some of those reviews are wrapped around graphics. Because if they were, then the 2 is going to be distinctly a step down in graphics. But that's definitely, and we'll talk about it. It's definitely one to talk about. And then Xbox streams now. You can watch like cloud streaming from the Xbox in your meta now. I don't know who anybody would want to do that, man. I was talking to Asa from Game On, and we were talking about like the idea of watching a stream on the cloud through your VR seems like you're just asking for 18 levels of problems. So I don't know if I'd want to play a cloud game in my VR because of the latency from the VR plus latency from cloud.
That.
And they're not the same thing. You actually have 2 versions of latency, the one from the headset and the one from the cloud. Anybody who's done it, if you like it, I'd love to know. I just
playing a cloud-based game in VR sounds like little torture, bro. There's like latency and you can feel it because you move your head, right? So
yeah, but at least with this, it's on the, it's a screen in front of you because you're just playing cloud
so
games.
you're not like VR cloud game.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, that's better.
It's
that's
better.
Much better.
It's better, but I mean, be
Still
prepped because it's a cloud game, so be prepped. Reaper $5. I 360 no scoped a deer. You said that 3 times while we were playing that you were going to do that, so now I don't know if I'm supposed to believe you or if you're just continuing on. Bryant says, LOL, ACG podcast where we get into great topics such as deer pee. That was elk pee, mind you, not deer pee. I'm just saying. You should know the difference if you're up in here in our amazing work or amazing hunter chat. $5 super chat from Z. Just bought an Xbox on top of having a PS5, a little Christmas present to myself. You two recommend anything? I bought it mostly to play Gears. Gears. Halo Infinite's much better now. Has a ton of new modes.
Halo Infinite's a great campaign.
Forza Horizon.
Fun as hell. Forza, you got Atomic
Hunters
Heart
on Game Pass. You got Game Pass now. Atomic Heart's on Game Pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Liza P is on Game Pass. Liza P grew on me, dude. I played it more after I said I didn't like it. The first location I think after the first couple locations, but it's still very linear. It's not like it doesn't have the same soul. Liza P.
Gotcha. So you liked it better?
I tried more of it. A little bit better because the main thing for me was the location, which just caused me to. But then later on, it had more interesting, kind of more detailed locations, but it's still fairly linear. You know what I mean? There's like some rights and lefts and shit, but it's not as mazy as Souls games usually.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to return to it. I sort of liked what I saw, but it wasn't enough to pull me in. But you've got that. I mean, Game Pass alone is incredible, but if you're looking at like their main triples, most of them are on Game Pass. But if you want to buy them, Forza Horizon, I can't speak highly enough. Gears 6, 5, I was
State of Decay 3, please.
State of Decay, State of Decay 2 would be okay. It's a little bit jank, but you could certainly try it out. I love it because I can ignore the jank. What other ones for Xbox?
We got Stalker 2 coming in.
No, but we're talking about right now. Grounded. Grounded. Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is one of the best platformers known to man. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
In my opinion, it's literally like nothing wrong with it.
I don't even rate numbered, and I would say that's 10 out of 10.
There's nothing wrong with it. Like there everything is perfectly crafted in that game. It's actually pretty insane. Yeah.
It's also not slept on critically or even fan-wise, but I just don't think it's sold as well as I personally believe it should have sold. I don't know the sales.
It's not going to sell as well as a Mario for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember playing that for review, and I was like in the 3rd level, and I was like, dude, every level's been insane. Like, this is ridiculous. The quality on every level was ridiculous. And then you get into the open world spot when you start running. Oh, Flight Sim.
Yeah, it feels like they pulled a Nintendo, right? Like they pulled a Nintendo, where like everything is just crafted so perfectly. Yeah.
I would say Psychonauts is equal to many top-tier Nintendo games without any hesitation. It is that good. It is freakish. Psychonauts is Psychonauts Xbox exclusive, or is that?
I don't know, but it's on Game Pass. So
for some reason, I thought that was like one of the last ones to go.
I think it is Xbox, isn't it?
Okay, I could be wrong. Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't know. Bramble is another one. Bramble's on a bunch of things.
It's on PS4. It's on PS4. It's
Psychonauts?
on Steam. Psychonauts 2,
Yeah, that's what I thought, was that it was that it wasn't exclusive, that it was like their last title or something.
Yeah, but I think it is owned by MS, right? The company.
Yeah, but just like We Happy Few, when they bought company, they bought companies, there were still there were still jobs and deals that needed to be.
Yeah, Xbox Game Studios published it. Yep.
Psychonauts 1 worth playing? It's good, but it's rough, man. SBZ says Absy has the stuff he knows. He does. He said he had a cold.
No, I just talk this way. I changed my identity. I changed my branding.
Yeah, he came into voice chat yesterday, and it sounded like he was either insanely high or completely sick as a dog.
Very sick, and on last night painkillers too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only stuff that really works for me is the stuff that also makes me like airy. Like I wouldn't be able to do a podcast if I was crapped up on it. It's a little bit rough when you start swallowing a bunch of those, like antihistamines that get through the blood-brain barrier, and suddenly you're like, what? I'm seeing spiders in my room.
Hallucinating and shit.
We should do a podcast at 3 a.m. Both of us. No, we shouldn't.
Yeah,
we shouldn't. Questions that we've got. Let's see. John Bass says, what is your spirit animals? Spam.
What the fuck?
Dude, spam is amazing. You just don't want to see what goes into it. And that's sort of like me. That's my spirit animal, spam. It's delicious no matter what. It just doesn't look the best.
Wait, delicious?
Dude, spam. You ever had a fried spam sandwich? Fried,
it's an
crispy?
Animal, though?
Spam is just like meats. It's random. No lie. I can tell you, I'm not going to, but I can explain how it's pulled off the animal, and it's disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's all the meats that you can't name. Like, what I mean is, like, here's a flank steak. Here is a roast. Here's a ribs. This is like what's left. This is the spam is the what's left of life.
It's like you didn't invest in one stock, you invested in like an ETF to diversify your stocks.
Spam is the diversified stock of meats, but you fry up spam and eggs. So that's my spirit animal. What's yours? Yours could be like Dopey the dwarf right now, because as doped up as you are, it could be
a human. No,
human, generic lowbrow human. Can I just choose like somebody who works out in the fields? I'll do him today.
Just a koala right now. I'm feeling like a koala right now.
Koalas are good. Yeah. Laid back. Han says, KARAK, did you see the Rambleholic Pandora review? It seemed all over the place. How do you see reviews like that? I don't know what that
review?
Rambleholic.
Rambleholic? The fuck is that?
Rambleholic. I don't know what that is.
Rambleholic.
It seemed all over the place. How do you see reviews like that? I don't know. I'm sorry, I haven't seen that. I don't know what that is. But when you look at reviews, everybody says, as long as it's a review of the game and not just a bullshit. Like some people are just doing bullcrap takes, and it's for comedic sake. That's one thing. But as long as it's a full review by somebody who's actually explaining real issues. It was funny, though. I started to see on a couple reviews where people were going back who had played Pandora, and they were going back to multiple reviews, posting, going like, this review is actually, I originally agreed with this, but it's like now that I've played it, they're like, actually, not at all what this person said.
Do you know how much misinformation I see?
There was a lot of misinformation
every
about
single person I've seen on Twitter, right? And they go like, why the fuck do you play this shit? It's literally Far Cry. And then when I see that, I'm like, oh, you haven't played it. You haven't even touched it if you think it's like Far Cry.
It was nothing like Far Cry. It was very interesting to see
the only thing that's similar to Far Cry is the fact that it's first person. Dude, literally the only thing. I can't even think of like, oh, you move around in open world in first person, Far Cry, right? There's like outposts and shit. I guess you could say Far Cry, but like everything outside of that is completely different. It's more of like a survival kind of game too.
Yeah, it's very much leans more towards survival, and I would say the bigger thing is that it matches open world first person shooters more than it does just Far Cry. It feels like sort of a diversion from that, which is pretty good. So, sorry, that's the date I've got. Jason of the Argonauts. Bobby left earlier than expected. Do you think that's Microsoft's work? We can talk about that. So, if anybody didn't see the news this morning, December 29th, one day after my birthday, old Bobby Kotick is ejecting. He's ejaculating out of Microsoft with no news or Activision, but with no news.
But Phil said from before. Like, they all said
Phil said in January, so this is like the date.
Oh, in January. This is earlier.
It's a couple days.
I guess it's earlier. Yeah, he's had people don't like him. I mean,
Yeah.
had a lot of controversy, a lot of shittiness, a lot of whatever.
Do I think it's Microsoft's doing? No, I think Bobby was probably at a position
No,
where
he was already
wanted
on
to
his way
leave.
out.
He had already said it. Yeah. It's a little
Yeah, he
like
was
whenever
already-
anybody says Jim Ryan is fired, and I'm like, dude, he's still working there. Like, we really need to use proper, verbiage
Do we
for
know
some
who's
of this
replacing him for
For Bobby?
AVB?
So yeah, Booty. Matt Booty is now overseeing the
Booty?
4 or 5 major studios. Yeah, so he's in control of a lot of stuff. I did try to explain to people.
Booty?
It's not like he's the lead. It's not like he every day is waking up looking at at a levels design and telling everybody if it's okay or not. Booty is up there, man. Like he's super high. The booty is tight and high in the Microsoft tree.
Yeah. But for what it's worth, I think Issues in Blizzard is way past Bobby Kotick. It's not Bobby Kotick's like own fault. Everything's shit. I don't think he's like the one person that's like making everything shit.
I think
there's a lot of incompetence. Like you can see, there's a lot of very clear incompetence. You can see a difference between like those not Australia, what's that? New Zealand Path of Exile devs kind of talk about their games and how they showcase it, and then you could see like Blizzard devs kind of showcasing the game, and there's like a huge dissonance of like people that could understand the games and people that don't understand the games. There's like a lot of stuff there. Yeah,
I wouldn't expect any major like magical like games aren't going to magically be better. It's going to take 4 years. The other stuff that people have issues with internally, that one person's gone, but I have no clue if there's multiple people around there that have issues as well. So
unless like they make like a huge effort for change management to like completely revamp maybe company culture and retrain and like just spend a lot of money on that type of stuff, I could see it changing with new management if they do those things. So I don't know what their plans are.
It also depends because, so for example, in the old days, you'd hear 2.0, which was disaster for anybody who worked at a company. You'd be working at a company, you'd wake up in the morning, happy to go to work, and somebody would be like, welcome to blah, blah, blah 2.0. And that meant everybody's going to retrain and they were going to fake they were switching shit. And it was pretty much all the same. But if you want a true switch, it would require not only training, but a lot of companies don't realize that it requires like sometimes a psychologist or sometimes a work psychologist or sometimes managers who their only job is to continue to watch things for years. Because you can do a training once. And dude, I've seen it. I've seen sex
change managers,
harassment training. So, I've seen sex harassment training where one day, well, dude, I saw one where
it's like
at
a lecture,
the training there was somebody doing it,
and
I was like,
And
the person who was hired was some Joe Bob from some company training. He wasn't even working for him, so he didn't. He's just like, I'm here to do my 8 hours of training for you guys
and leave. Leave. They usually have like a time slot. They're like, oh, you have to do 4 hours of this. Sign a piece of paper.
You need somebody to be there and be like, all right, like things that you don't even think of. But what I was going to say also, that has to be everybody agreeing on the new vision, and no human currently. Just look on the internet. Just look in our Discord. Even look anywhere. Nobody agrees on everything. So it's you're always going to have an issue.
So with change management, like there's like unfreezing and then the change and then there's refreezing, right? And the unfreezing phase is I think the hardest phase because as you said, there's a lot of different people and there's going to be old timers and they're used to the old ways and they don't want to change, and there's going to be the new people and
they want
there's
change
a lot of
quickly,
stuff and you have to do compromises.
Right? They want change fast. The other ones are like, well, let me
it's
change.
So tough to unfreeze.
It's a weird situation. But he's leaving. Do I think it was Microsoft? No, it was that. I mean, the announcement was already out there. So it is what it is. And to be honest, I think a lot of these times, unless they're direct leads in a company's a direct game architecture, like they're a lead for GTA 6, as we've talked before about people leaving, that matters more than him. I think that, the internal stuff, it's just like Ubisoft. They can do a lot of changes, but until some very big changes occur, some of the same complaints will always be there. Tuba of Flesh says, Tuba of Flesh, that does remind me of spam. Oof. Tuba of Flesh says, Insomniac made $567 on Sunset Overdrive. And by the way, that's one of the few times I'll ever read an exact from these leaks. I guess you're right about the game. Seriously, though, any hope for a sequel? No. Dude, we didn't know what it sold, but I think everybody knew. There's some games that you sort of look at and you're like...
They're Marvel devs now.
Yeah.
aside from maybe Ratchet and Clank. But
Yeah, no, that's
dude,
true.
the Marvel making the moolah.
Yeah,
You know
they'll
what I
be
mean? They're
doing
not
that,
gonna do
and
it.
I think why Return to Sunset Overdrive, when admit it, a lot of people, there's a niche group who liked it, but when you look at that kind of stuff, it's obvious that a lot of people didn't. You know, it didn't resonate. So
Yeah, it's
it
a
also
niche.
didn't resonate with
Yeah.
sales, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's like maybe at the time
It's
it
got
was
the
on the Xbox
Xbox
only.
tax, bro.
Yeah.
It's got the Xbox tax.
Oh, the Xbox tax. Man, I didn't know what the Xbox tax was forever. And then I saw people saying that, like, there's no such thing. And I'm like, dude, don't put down your foot and say there's no such thing as a favoritism towards a specific thing that has built favorable consumer, like, allegiance.
More consumers have one thing. Obviously, the one thing is going to be more favorable than the thing that not a lot of consumers have. And
that's just
all the news websites want
yeah.
to cater to the most consumers. And since most consumers have Sony and not X, it's so easy to. It's very very straightforward. Like it's not even a conspiracy. You know what I mean? It's like that's
it's
why
really
there's
how
favoritism.
much does it affect. It's not that it does. It's just, it's sort of like not when or not if, but when. It's like not if, but how much.
How much? Know? Yeah.
Tilted Token, $5 super chat. I have a 4-week paid vacation starting Thursday. Plan on tackling some of my backlog. Currently working on South Park Stick of Truth. Happy holidays. Dude, South Park. The South Park games are great, and I think you might as well stick with those two because the new one looks balls.
Nah, the new one looks so bad. No, the first two are really awesome, though. They're like turn-based. If you liked BG3, you will like it's like BG3.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No,
if you like the Lord of the Rings 3-person character smasher, you might like this one. Dude, it just looks like it has no it went from being like this is a cartoon, this is the cartoon, to this is the exact kind of smash up bullshit we got PS2 360 days when people were throwing a bunch of titles. And they were like, fucking here's all these titles.
Get all these characters and they're fighting now.
And it's like some turned out good. You'd be playing like a Gex or whatever, but then you'd play there was a Croc, the crocodile one. You're like, seriously, dude, somebody just called it Croc and made a platform. Rough. Snow Day is fully 3D and looks boring. Yes, it does. That's what we're talking about. It's rough. Those first two look like cartoons. They feel like they're missing.
It's definitely a different company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Was the first two Ubisoft? They're Ubisoft, right?
Right? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Were they Obsidian? No, they were Obsidian.
Were they Obsidian? Okay, yeah.
Or one of them? I don't know.
Crazy. It's an Obsidian game. So, long story short, it looks pretty rough.
Crap.
I mean, I'll play anything. It could just, it could be really early, and this could be just like, hey, here's some ideas.
Dude, there's no way, right? There's no way. I look at it and I'm like, there's nothing there. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know, man.
Well, to not dive too much into the stuff that we've seen, some of that stuff look rough. So it's just like, how early is something? Because that's one of the reasons why any company doesn't want some of their early alphas data going out is because that shit's not there it's not there for public consumption. It's not there to be hey dude, let's show off this at E3. It's like, here's the general idea of character sizes and shit. Like, there's no plan to make sure it works perfect. So maybe that's what it was, but they're the ones who made a trailer and put it out. So I guess it's on them, right? Obsidian did the first one. Thanks, Julian. Appreciate it. The Insomniac leak confirms that he is Jim Lion Ryan. He had Sony fans proclaiming Activision deals anti-consumer. Jim was telling the courts ABK is anti-consumer, and all because of fear. Well, he was doing what a company CEO should do, man.
Yeah.
As much as I dislike what was going on, I was looking at the stuff that Jim was doing. I was like, dude, that's exactly his job as a CEO, to stymie the other company. And it's just the way it is. Like, it sucks. But I was watching it going...
Yep.
As somebody who deals in like company dynamics and looking at dealing with like competition, I was like, dude, that's all you got left in your artillery for this particular moment, and stymie it and cost you a bunch of money. That's the way it goes. What's up, ABI Plays? Greetings.
Oh, Obsidian made Stick of Truth. Oh yeah, Stick of Truth was the better one, right? Yeah.
Was it? Yeah, Stick of Truth was the first one.
Yeah.
And then you had what?
Okay.
Sword of Destiny or Stick of Truth.
Fractured Butthole, but I actually I liked Fractured Butthole. It had like what do you call it? Tactical element to the combat. Like you could move your guys. Right.
I like both of them. I like both of them. I
liked both a lot. I liked Stick of Truth more, but I liked both of them.
I like the D&D one more. Is that Stick of Truth? Is it D&D one?
No,
Stick of Truth?
D&D is Stick of Truth. Yeah, Stick of Truth is D&D. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the D&D one a little bit more, but both were great.
I thought both were no, the first one I remember clearly that you go off to that tent and you choose your class and all that stuff. I forgot if Butthole was D&D.
Yeah, I don't know. Lombardi says, "Does anybody know how to get rid of the emoji thing at the bottom right of the chat that blocks me from reading chat?" Oh, it's so annoying, dude. How the I don't know what he's talking about. I don't have one.
There's like a heart on the bottom right.
Make your screen bigger or smaller. Scale on your browser. Yeah, scale on your browser. We'll move it. Obviously.
Jesus.
Yep. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe not. So moving on from there.
Yes.
And that question, at least.
Yeah.
So the leaks happened. So that anybody who doesn't know, because we've had a complaint before that we don't sit and read all the fucking news, and it's like that's not really what this is about. But I'm going to explain this one. Insomniac had ransomware files. They refused to pay. I believe it was $2 million. Or at least now we know they refused to pay because yesterday morning, was it yesterday morning? Maybe even the day before. It's been a lot of news this week.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, yesterday. A ton of data flooded the internet. Everything from, just all kinds of crazy stuff. That one of the things that I took out of it, I was talking to Cadiz about this in chat, and then we went and worked out. And one of the things I explained to him is, so you get charged by ransomware. One of the things you have to worry about you have to worry about all this stuff. You have to worry about doxing of employees, all this terrible shit that is just unacceptable. Like, I've heard other people say that doxing is okay. You get the political.
No. Never.
Knock that shit off. That's unacceptable.
Never. Yeah,
that kind of stuff. But another thing you got to worry about is what data is it giving to your competitor?
Competition.
And one of the things this does let is competitors know that at a particular time the alignment for titles or the alignment for something is going a certain way. And then if you have dates and stuff that talk about that, then you have those competitors able to at least look and say, generally their plan is this. So I think that helps third-party companies and competitors in that way. It's just terrible regardless. Like, ransomware is one of the dirtiest, grossest things ever, man. Like, it's just 100%. Oh, dude, it's so 100%. Nasty.
They should have outbid the fucking dude, though. Like, $2 million, they should have just outbid it. They should have just outbid it.
You mean tried to get somebody to give them the key and outbid it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because it got sold for $2 million. I think a little bit more than $2 million. I think they could have easily it would have been like a drop in the bucket for them. Well, now that we know how much they fucking make, but no, seriously, like I think they should have done that. But obviously, I'm with the devs. I love that. Like seriously, I'm sorry for everything that happened. I'm not gonna blame. I'm not blaming them right now. It's the hackers' fault. It's shitty, but yeah, they should have bought it. They should have.
Well, I don't know if bought it, but I do know that a lot of hacker companies will sell the keys, and sometimes in the hospitals near us, one got ransomware, and another hacker group found out it got ransomware and gave them the key. And was like, dude, we do not, under any circumstances, go after hospitals or anything like that. Now, admittedly, we can all argue about morals because it's like you don't go after that, but you go after this, which still affects this group. It's like it's sort of the fake morals that you get in movies and shit like that. Yeah. But nothing's great. It just absolutely sucks, and it hurts. The thing is, man, it messes up. I mean, it's great to talk about. It's fun to talk about new stuff that you're hearing coming out, but it sucks for everybody working on it. It sucks to have. I saw this yesterday, man, and I got to tell you, I jump in now in Discord every time I see this because it pisses me off. Because I know people who work in the industry, they'll be like, leaks are on purpose. It's all for PR. And I'm like, you have no fucking clue how many people have lost their jobs over leaks.
Yeah.
It is a ton of money for a leak. The leak is not, they'll be like, oh, it's garnering excitement. No, it's not. Have you guys really positive? Almost never do I see a positive reinforcement for a leak. The trailer's different for GTA, but prior to that, there were people leaking the GTA gameplay, and all the responses were like, "This looks terrible. There's a girl in it."
That's so stupid.
It's like, dude, you don't understand. Nobody wants this. It does not make sense. We've heard it in the past where like sometimes you'll see a company leak something in the hope to get traction to see if something's interesting to people.
Yeah.
But when it's like, here's some footage or whatever, nobody wants that because that footage it's like beta gameplay. It's like terrible gameplay.
Pre-alpha. Yeah.
Pre-alpha.
It's fucked. Yeah, people saying like, oh, it's so stupid. Like, obviously, it's pre-alpha footage. Like, they have no right. And also, I want to clarify, like, the paying thing that I said earlier. People are saying, okay, if you pay they'll do it again because you paid. Well, they already made $2 million. They made the money. Nothing's stopping them. Another thing I see is, they would have just made copies and sold. No, hacker groups typically don't want that because they want to have
Correct.
that leverage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not gonna ruin their rep, right?
Yeah, it sucks, but they do.
So
that is like pretty much regardless. And that's why I said it sucks no matter what, because once you're in that boat, this is why companies. We've seen Sony get hacked multiple times. We've seen Microsoft occasionally. We just saw Comcast yesterday with a massive hack, including possibly like last digits of social security numbers, all kinds of crazy shit. These companies, I'm not saying they all don't prepare, because we were at a prepared company and it still got hacked. We were really prepared, and it still got hacked. It got hacked using a mix of human socials as well as all this other stuff.
It's always a race. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just sucks. Technology is where it is right now, but these companies are probably going to start putting up, you're going to get these crazy two factors as employees where, because when at our job, there was just you'd walk in, Windows, and you'd sign in. Now, at that same company, you walk in, you have two factor for your own sign in, and you're just going to need more and more of that. And you're going to have, these companies that they really need to have their shit air gapped, and that doesn't even fix everything, but it certainly would fix 99% of these where somebody grabs a random USB and and
or
gets
their note
or a post-it note. Yeah, dude. In my old job, we went to a change every 3 months, and we warned them. The tech team warned them. The tech team was like, okay, listen, we're going to change every 3 months, and if you look at the statistics, people have a very difficult time remembering their passwords every 3 months. So what they'll do is they'll not have to remember it. They'll get tired of it. Dude, we had every day minimum 5 people's passwords on yellow stick-it notes on their desk. So then we had to go and we had to retrain them. So here's what they did. They put another stick-it note over the stick-it note that had passwords on it. And they said, like, computer in use, do not touch. But then under it was the password. And
that's like a survival horror game.
It's
or
a
they
survival
put like
horror game.
No, this is where I left my
where you have
password.
to line up the camera perfectly to see the password. Like, just like, or where you go and all the digits are clean, but the 4 they use for their key 5416, because those are the only clean, keys on a keyboard. There needs to be a ton. This isn't blaming the victims, because this is it's a sad place every human's in right now, but there needs to be a ton of two-factor that's accurate and easy for the employee, whether it be thumbs, thumbprints, get all that kind of stuff figured out, because a lot of these companies still don't have it. But man, it sucks. It sucks because a lot of the surprises that they wanted to announce are gone. Now competitors know at least a good number of what they're doing, as well as financials, and then of course the employee data, which is fucking, dude.
The license terms.
Yeah, it's like that kind of stuff, whatever. It's like whenever you get like any personal data, somebody will say they can be doxxed. Well, humans, for what is it, $35, you can go online and buy a private investigator to like look for data. So it's like probably it's just easier to see that, but you can dox a lot of people. But yeah, it blows. It just as a whole.
And the risk assessment document, that's like that was a damning thing. The risk assessments they're super confident. Those documents are like high level confidential shit, dude. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. Especially security. Somebody said KARAK knows what he's talking about with ransomware. We need to hire you. It's like, I would never want to work on that kind of stuff, because I do know it, and it's haunting. It's like when you start to know. Well, yeah, but just knowing how people do stuff. I'm like, oh my god, no wonder Joe Blow randomly gets hacked. Like you have 100 people aiming at you. There's no way to win. We've talked about that. It's like comparing one game to 100. That game will lose because some game has the better of each version of what they're trying to do. It's the same way with a password.
Yeah.
If it's just one poor human who's out there with his little LastPass, and then LastPass gets hacked. Remember when LastPass they're the damn password people, and they're the ones. Everybody said use a password manager. So people are like, okay. And do you know all the ransomware people did was go, all right, well then we'll just hack the actual password companies.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's killer. Go. It's a killer, man. It's rough on people. So yeah, it sucks overall. I think that we'll see some locking down of data. We're going to see a lot more. I've talked about this before. When I review a game or preview a game, sometimes my name will be watermarked all over the screen. That's not a new thing, but in the last 4 years, I've seen it a couple times. There's other tricks that they do that I'm not going to talk about. The only reason I'm talking about that one is it's out. You can see it on trailers. Sorry, not trailers, but you can see it in YouTube. But there's some other tricks that I found out that were really intelligent. Like, one of the guys who had worked at one of the big three was like, hey, here's a couple things that in the past there's been discussion about trying to find footage that leaks. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if anybody would be able to figure that out, but you would be able to tell right away whose it was. Like, there's data, you know, there's stuff in footage that's pretty intelligent. Very smart way of doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much else. If you guys have questions, actually, it doesn't have to be super chats. Super chats are appreciated, but it doesn't have to be. If you have questions about this leak, we're not going to dive in because I'll cover it as normal, but I think that
You don't want to talk about anything detailed, right?
I don't. Yeah. And and by the way, somebody was asking me, why do I believe that this is being handled differently than the other companies? It is. I think that one, people are getting tired of it. It happens once, 6 months goes by, people don't really think much about it. It happens a second time within 3 months, people start talking about it and thinking about it more. Happens again and again and again, or it happens to somebody you know, and then suddenly things matter more. It's like when somebody tells you their family member died, you're like, man, I'm really sorry to hear that, and you feel empathy, but when your family member dies, it's a whole other ballgame. It's a connection to you. Of course. And so I see that. I also see, we talked about this almost 2 years ago, where I was like, dude, this happens every time. A bunch of these people who cover rumors and news and stuff like that will just, whether they're fame whoring or where they're, trying to get social love, they'll be like, I'm not going to cover this one because blah, blah, blah. And you're like, dude, seriously, you can't itemize. You either just choose to do it. Or
the people saying like, these guys, look at these people covering it. They're just virtue signaling and trying to be like, oh, look at me, I'm like morally righteous. While also promoting the people. Like, they'd have like a screenshot of like IGN and all those stuff of these articles saying, oh, I can't believe but you're covering that they're covering it. So people, so it's so stupid. Obviously, it's news. Obviously, consumers are going to want to know about it. They already know about it. They're already looking for it. And obviously, companies and want to cover that story. It's a massive story, and they want readers. It's so simple. It's There's
and
no
we saw
moral
by the way,
here.
we saw somebody said this is because it's Sony. I can actually I can point out that it's not just Sony, and it's not just that. When the GTA stuff happened, there was a number of people that were incredibly mad the trailer leaked, that were normal folk,
of course,
like in our Discord. It is not just because it's Sony. I do believe that people know some of them. They see them as wholesome. There's more of that. That's fine. That's how it builds up, is that you start to protect your family, then you protect others. I think that that's the way it is. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm just like, why don't we protect everybody day one? But nobody would do that. So it'll take a little while, but I think we're starting to see it pop up more.
Picture the same thing happening to Ubisoft. Picture that world. Picture Twitter when that happens to Ubisoft. I doubt.
Me.
Maybe,
you know me.
I don't know.
The first thing I did was made a list of everybody saying what they said, took pictures of Twitter. On purpose for this, and it's not because I feel I'm going to cover it the same way, and I don't know if my way is better. So it has nothing to do with better, but what it has to do with the shifting of priorities depending on blank subject, depending on what company, depending on what game. So I am tracking what you just said, but we've been tracking it for a year because we talked about this last year, where I was like, there's a difference in coverage for a Ubisoft game than there is for something else. There's an expectation of almost
There's the Ubisoft tax.
Yeah. I mean,
don't make an open world game.
Moldy Muffins, $5. Looking forward to the discussion today. Cheers. Thank you very much, man. Hopefully we keep you somewhat entertained. Sailor Mercury says, how do you feel about the leaks on Spider-Man and I'm just going to say some adjustments, if somebody didn't read that, some adjustments to how it might be delivered. I have no issue with that. We haven't got the games. I will rate the game in whatever way I get it. We saw Avengers had 20 movies. It felt like the Avengers were like,
I don't know, man. They're in the hundreds.
Or if you like Warhammer 40K, the Horus Heresy, which was like, it went from just a couple books to like, I don't know, it's a decology now or something.
Yeah. They definitely have to do something to like spice up Spider-Man, I think, for a third one. They definitely have to like.
Here's my spice. Co-op.
Yeah. Well,
that's my spice.
And I think there was a multiplayer thing, right?
I don't know. I didn't look. I truly didn't. I saw. I've got all of them. I looked generally at some of the numbers and terms. I saw there was too much info, and I was like, first of all, some of it will change because of this.
Yeah.
Some of it will change because life. So
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
looked at a couple things. I was like, whatever. So I think that
Yeah.
co-op is the way to go. I've talked about it in Spider-Man 2. Like, I wanted Spider-Man 2 to have it. So I'm just like, co-op would be the big change up for me. Would be the exciting part
Yeah.
for me. I would love to see
I have a thing, man. Like, I'm wondering, what do you think is gonna happen to, like, third person melee games? Do they need, like, do they need like an evolution or a next thing, or like do you think they're good where they are? Do you think each game does something, like, they all boil down to attacking and dodging now? Obviously they're different in ways, but I feel like there's a lot of sameness in a lot of things. um Obviously Spider-Man has its own thing going because of its like acrobaticness and shit like that. Like other footage I'm seeing, and God of War and all those, and then you got like the Soul side stuff. Do you think there's gonna be a thing where something is gonna like drastically change the way these third person games are?
No.
Especially for Sony.
No. And I don't think it's needed. You and I are getting older every single day. There are new people coming into the environment who have not played those. We had about a 2-hour discussion in chat about just what you're mentioning, because Spider-Man and Horizon Forbidden West both saw a slight push towards, they feel a little samey. Yeah. You know why?
Well, Horizon's very unique though.
But
what?
Forbidden West was still Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Doesn't matter if it was unique. There was still this desire to see a slight change by old folks, but new people, that was their first one. They were like, this is amazing. We also saw it with Red Dead 2, where you had people up in arms about mission structure. They're like, oh my God, the mission structure, this and that. Gaming is huge, and that is a growth spurt that's massive. The growth spurt in gaming is bigger than any industry, and I think that what we're seeing is growth pains. It's like scoliosis when you're a kid. If you grow too many inches, shit's just not going to be aligned for many years. And we lived in this linear path, man. Everything was, go back for the longest time, one console game, one controller, every single console. That's what you got. Then it went to, we're going to make sure there's 3 types of games, but you're just going to get the console and one controller. And then it went to digital. And digital's changed the way we patch games, the way we deliver games, the way you fix games, the way, you have service games. But the long story short is, once digital came into it, and once deals and subscriptions came in, the growth is massive in gaming. I mean, billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. And that means more people that have never played these. And in a weird way, you could say these games you and I may play and go, okay, it didn't iterate too much, is another person's first fucking day. And that's their tutorial into third party. Say the entire game's like a tutorial. Like, hey, man, this is your tutorial into open world racing, Forza. That's your tutorial. Here's your tutorial into a third person action game, Spider-Man. That I do not want to go away. Now, will some companies try to change it up? Yes, some companies. There will be a random company that does something different. That's happened forever.
I'm not saying like everyone should innovate. You know what I mean? I'm just saying if there's, because like go back to like the Xbox. What I was asking was like, okay, go back to the 360 days where we saw a lot of cover shooters having similar formulas. I'm just wondering what the next step would be. Like I'm trying to imagine what the next, because at some point they became like dodge and attack type games, and I wonder what the next thing would be. Like I would want more Sifu stuff, like Sifu's formula. I want to see that more. But
you were able to compare it by a game that is out. So it's happened.
Yeah, of course. It's happened.
By saying Sifu is out, other people can copy Sifu. So that will always happen.
I have no problem with that.
There will be no change. Also, technically, the big change was, like we talked about, where an engine was able to let you get out of the car. Right? Like, that was a big deal. It's like, oh my God, I can get out of the car and not just drive. Those changes were allowed via the tech. So we'll see some of that tech change. But when you look at like my big, not complaint, but my thing is that Assassin's Creed brought in hit Y to win. That's sort of Assassin's Creed's.
Yeah. And then
that's their
Batman
thing.
and
and then
Mad
Batman
Max.
and Lord of the Rings and Mad Max, all the games. But here's the thing. I don't in any way, shape, or form want Mad Max's combat to change just because it's been a while and we've been seeing it a bit. I feel that the world was the change and the other stuff was the change. But once we got the 3D viewpoint, and once we got games that could go third person, first person, third person, first person at any point, when you look at even how film is made, there's only a couple ways you can film a scene. Like, It's really the mastery of the basic ability.
Yeah.
So like,
I think it's the execution of it.
It's the execution.
You know?
Yeah, and you get I could film a first-person show, and it would suck balls, but you'd get somebody who knew what they were doing with a camera. Like Cloverfield. My Cloverfield would just be puking everywhere. And, you know, it would just I wouldn't know how to do things. But the basic, it's like when you get a martial artist, a lot of the best knockouts aren't fancy. You will you'll still get the occasional one, but you'll get the guy who does a hook. The hook was created when the first caveman grabbed a rock and hooked somebody in the face with it. Like, it's not changed. It's not. I mean,
chess.
What?
Chess. Yeah, no, I'm just
chess.
giving an example of things that just don't ever change. Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, what the next thing will be. It's fun to think about.
I think the next thing will be time dilation changes, like we're seeing with the Xbox game, where they're going to allow you to change the world. Adjustment in real time of worlds is something that we didn't have the memory in the consoles in particular, where you could fast switch memory without a loading, and then people were like, that doesn't feel great. So it's like, we're going to load out and then load back into a new world. Now, you know, we're seeing stuff like Lego. And by the way, I mentioned Lego for a reason. When you start looking at Minecraft Lego, where you're adjusting the world and taking and then building, you're not just the old days. It wasn't taking and building. There was no physics capability. It was like you would destroy and then it would pop up. Now we have the ability to change the world. Yeah,
I love that this generation's coolest things, and people meme on about it a lot, but it's literally the utilization of SSDs by the consoles. Even like with Alan Wake,
you're starting
all
to
those
see
like
it
scene
be
switches.
Yeah.
And it's fucking awesome, dude. Yeah. Don't use hard drives.
Yeah. So I don't. I mean, we're starting to see space games where they're starting to get hammered for, let's say, lack of fluidity. They've got the loading screen, but then you've also got Everspace, which doesn't let you get out. So it's like there's a vast. The bigger the audience gets, the more some of us who played for a long time will start seeing non-change. But I think overall, that's sort of like movies, where you might get 50 action movies in a year and only a couple really speak to you, but they speak to everybody else. I don't know if there'll be any huge changes. I would like to see Dragon's Dogma stuff, like your character's short, they can't climb up this mountain. Your character's fat, he can't get through this hole. That stuff was ahead of its time.
More interactivity like that too, as well. Like
some weapons in Dark Souls, you know, you're not strong enough, so you can't swing it as hard. That kind of stuff. That to me is way more interesting than somebody arbitrarily changing it just to change it. I'm not saying that's what you were asking for. I'm saying as a whole. Do you? I mean, do you have to go into? So let's say Assassin's Creed. So when Assassin's Creed came out, Mirage. Do you have to prime the pump and remind yourself it's going to be hitting Y to win? Or are you able to ignore that?
I have no problem with sameness at all. I don't know. Like, I play, if a game is good, a game is good. If execution is good, if it feels good. God of War, I wouldn't say God of War innovated on anything, but it did what it did so well. It did the combat so well. It felt really, really good. They did made very smart decisions with its stats and gearing systems and how they affect your combat and what you get when you level up. They made the necessary changes to make the game good. You know, they didn't have to change everything.
In a weird way, the innovation is taking the already done invention and just making it work well. So it's like God of War, iterative. Yeah, God of War is like, oh, we know there's these things that sort of have worked in the past, like a cutscene battle, but let's put a cutscene battle in the game to make it feel seamless. And that is technically the innovation of, I mean, it sounds weird, but innovation doesn't always mean like
innovation doesn't mean something new from nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be new. You know what I mean?
It could be iterative for sure. You could innovate in like small ways, and I think that's the juice. Like one of the best. That's why I hate patents so much. We're gonna talk about patent later.
Yeah, we'll talk about.
What I hate about patents so much is stuff like gaming, stuff like music. It's all inspirations. You know, you take inspirations, maybe more than some more than others, some less than others, and you make it into your own thing. And you can have a game that's a mishmash of like a lot of different games. Like let's say, what the fuck was that one? Crimson Desert, right? You could have like, you could take something from here, something from here, something from there, and you can look at each single one and be like, oh well, that's already been done, that's already been, but it hasn't already been done all together, all at once. That's the big thing, right? So you that type of collaborative inspirational kind of devs looking at games, gamer devs playing something, liking something, and deciding to add it into their game. And a Nemesis system would have been fucking great for that if it wasn't patented. That would have been amazing to have like that system be, for devs to look at it and be like, oh, we want to put it into like a football game or a racing game, or we want to put it into like a superhero game. Stuff like that is just very, very exciting. And that's why I really dislike patents.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing the finals with the guys in the chat, and there's really no innovation in the finals at all. In fact, they're terrible at their upgrade. It's the worst upgrade path of any game I think I've played in years. It's just, it's ludicrous. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. You get a couple items, but it's like, who cares? The main thing is destructible landscapes. And that alone has changed the way that feels. It's just, finals feels completely different in that one particular place. But if you were to look at it as a shooter, you're like, everything is the same. I mean, it's just a esports style shooter where they got one thing right, which was like Nemesis, where they got one thing right. Because I'm going to be honest, man, Lord of the Rings, the 2 games, I didn't think had the best story at all. The major thing was watching somebody come crawling back after you chop their head off and being like, dude, what's going on? And seeing what new skill they've got or what new ability that they have. But the rest of it was hit wide away. I mean, that was, by the way, one of the worst hit wide away games I think I've ever played when it comes to
it's not really, it doesn't feel that good.
So, I think innovation is awesome, but I just don't think we're going to be seeing any kind of, I don't think we're going to be seeing any kind of innovation that hits and makes everybody go, oh my God, it'll just be improvements on stuff. I do think real world transformation is huge. Finals, Fortnite probably is one of the big leaders for the building mode. Because remember, that came out as single mode, and then they did the building mode, and people are like, what the hell? I can put a wall right here?
Very intelligent.
Oh, dude.
Very intelligent. Yeah, they took BR, which was blowing up with PUBG, and we're like, okay, there's BR, but you could build in it. And just from that alone, it just blew up.
Yeah.
It's insane, the skill ceiling for that type of thing,
Yeah, because it looks like a small change in the finals, but I've seen people blowing the ceilings out to drop on the enemy, or blowing the floor out to make the enemy drop onto them they can fire. I
that is the most important thing.
Shoot the wall. The wall came down. They landed on the mine and died. And I'm like, dude, that is
3D. Amazing. I think the
incredible.
best use case of like anything really is any tool is to be able to use it freely and it's like a sim, right?
It's just like you go,
you
girl.
can tell new stories every time, right? You can tell new stories that other people, if you blow up the whole the wall at this angle and stuff, something new will happen that no one's ever saw before. Which is very exciting.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, so far what I've seen, I don't feel it will hold me very long, but one of the things I was talking to the guys about is if it holds me for an hour and it's free, that's not a bad it held me for an hour and it's free. If it holds other people for longer and it's free, that's pretty fucking wicked. I mean, that's like wicked that game's free. And the upgrades, I do want them to matter more, but right now they don't. So I find myself engaging with the game and not ever going, what new shirt am I going to wear? It's like, dude, it's first person. Right. Who gives a shit? I'm not going to see my shirt. There are a couple clothing options in there that are hilarious, and it is fun to dress your character up with. But it's more of a game than it is.
Yeah, it seems like a very tight, like esports ready type game, like a very tight competitive game. Yeah,
dude, I was watching. It was Flip Cup, Wannabe Dev, and 2 other people, and they were all playing. Most were in one game, but there was 2 or 3 in the other. And they grab you use psychic power and you grab the explosive. And we see it a lot in other places. But what I was noticing is the guys in the Discord were learning off each other. So they were like playing in a group, and like Flip Cup would do it, and then Wannabe would try it, and they'd be talking, and you saw this organic growth pattern where it was like, oh, that works. Until finally, Wannabe had one of the explosive things, and he was like leaping up in the air, and he was just looking to see if somebody was generally there. And, it'd miss and not do damage 80% of the time. But you'd have that one time where it'd be like, and somebody was right there to just, and it would kill him while he was in the air. And you were like, dude, that was that organic sweetness where you feel flexible, where it's like, I have 5 tools.
Some of the most exciting times in like a PvP game like that is right before or at launch, in the beginning when people are discovering things. There's no metas. people are trying out new things and learning off each other. It's very exciting, especially because we're not going to escape the internet, and we're going to keep having metas, and people are going to abuse it and stuff. So that beginning, honeymoon phase is just such a fun time to be a part of something new.
Yeah, it's been awesome to watch, because I guess you could say in a way it was an innovation to put it in a free to play esports shooter.
Yeah, you can say anything. Yeah, but I'm just glad that the Bad Company, formula is back.
Continued.
We've been asking for it for a while.
Speaking of asking for stuff, I asked everybody, should we discuss the Sony leaks in detail? People said yes. 70 said yes. 75 is pretty close to what it is, said no. We've chosen to discuss it somewhat on the side. That's on me. So even though I did that poll, hey, I might not have done exactly what you wanted, but that's just looking at what was leaked and what we've talked about in the past, because a lot of times we've talked about the data as always changing. We did it with the FTC stuff with Microsoft, so a lot of this stuff will change. But
before we get to the next topic,
go ahead.
I'll just say something real quick. I did mention it a little bit. Yeah, the Ready or Not 1.0 is out. I played early access back when it first came out, and it was very bare bones, no progression or anything. But the one thing I'm really having fun with here and there, not co-oping with other people, but doing this like single player campaign mode called, I think, Commander mode, which is really, really neat, because it's kind of like Darkest Dungeon in a way, where you have a team. There is permadeath, so if you have like a teammate that dies, they're dead forever. And if you fuck up sometimes, or go on a lot of missions, some people can get stressed. You can send them to therapy, you can fire, you can hire people. They have different classes and stuff, so it's been really, really cool. I like that the game is an actual game now, because when it first was in early access, there was no reason to win or lose or anything. There was no progression, but the gunplay was really, really fun. So I thought that was a neat change.
Feels like, yeah, I mean, it's great and everything. I can't get any gumption to play any of these early access games that go to 1.
Oh, not even 1.0, not even full release.
Early access is my bane, man. It's my bane.
Yeah, it just puts you off everything.
Dude, it's not even puts me off. It's that it does put me off, but it leaves this black hole of care where it's true apathy, where like somebody will say, oh, it's free or whatever, and we're at 1.0 on an early access game, it's free for the weekend, and I'll be like, I can't even be asked to. I don't know why, but I feel like I can feel when a game was ever in early access now. Like it's like a free to play game. Like, nope. So I'll come back and I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna check it out. Oh, this feels early, and then I'll look it up and I'll be like, oh, it was early access. There's something about those games that feel a certain way.
I kind of feel that way about Gloomwood, just because it pissed me off so much, because I've been waiting for it for a long time, and it released in early access. Where when it finally comes out, I'm gonna be like, oh, well, like other people have played it, it's been in early access and all this shit, and it pissed me off, and I'm gonna remember the time it pissed me off, and I'm gonna feel like shit, and I won't want to play it ever.
Yeah, like it. I'm certainly, glad that they do well. It just sort of feels like it's not for me when I see early access.
Right, yeah. But gunplay's fun, dude. The commanding your squad and shit is fun as hell, dude. It's reminding me of like Freedom Fighters and stuff, or the old squad.
Well, the game started out pretty fun, right? I mean, even in its early, I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, I had issues with this and this," but they liked the core combat of it, and the idea of it. So yeah,
but the AI is way better now. Like you feel like your bot companions feel like actual like they feel like you got like a SWAT team with you. It's really, really well done.
Good bot AI. I get it. Somebody's going to say, the only true way is to play with people, blah, 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 whatever. I don't give a shit. I think that all these games that come out should have bots. Like, that's the way it should be, because some people aren't going to have 3 friends who don't want to go with randoms. What I've been excited about is, like, the bots for World War Z were insane. They were so good, man. You'd be down, they would come heal you, they would leap over stuff, and then I played Back 4 Blood, and theirs were just, fuckers would be standing there.
Payday bots
are trash. And so when you get a game with good bots, even if it's just healing you or doing the 1 or 2 things you need, because let's be honest, a lot of players, including myself when I started a game, are trash anyway. So if you have a bot that's at minimum like 1 level above trash, it's probably better than 80% of the randoms you're going to face, because those guys are new, or they're trying to troll, or because a lot of people who aren't randoms, they're starting to get their groups together and care more, where the randoms might not have the investment into that game. But I love when you get a good bot where you're like, oh my god, he healed me. It feels like, and you're sort of stunned by the basic bitch level AI where you're like, wow, he healed, he reloaded, he didn't use all the bullets. You're just like, dude, that's super low level. But I mean, I played with Takedown. Takedown is lower than a bot when it comes to AI. Yeah, I said it. I said it, Takedown, if you're out there. Super chat. Tilted Token, $10. I hear you guys talk about Gears a lot. Have you ever thought about hosting a PvP tournament for members? Since 2016, I've logged over 10,000 hours in multiplayer.
He's one of those people that like does the crazy cover movement shit where he like smashes.
I learned that for a review, by the way.
Yeah,
I was getting ready to review Ultimate Edition. I think was the PC remaster of Gears 1. And one of the guys I was just randomly watching it to come back up to bones with like Gears because it's been a while. And I saw somebody doing that. I was like, the fuck is going on right there?
The movement is insane in Gears.
So then I jumped in to do the review and I was like, it took a little bit, but I was like, holy crap, you can do that. Like no one, I'd never done it.
Really cool use of tech, right?
Really. Yeah. Because it's not a cheat. It's just it's really a smart way.
It's like how the cover system works. And then trying
to figure out that exact frame you need to hit the bounce. Rick Gaffney, $10 super chat. Fellows, looking through the Sega URL list that they registered, I saw House of the Dead. Now I'd love a new game, but in my opinion, it has to come with the light gun controller.
Oh, I miss light gun controllers and shit, man. I miss those arcade. Dude, I hope VR doesn't take that away. I still would be down to go, like, just use a big TV or a projector and just fucking get my get a gun and just start shooting, man. Yeah.
So here's the big problem with light guns, projectors. The big problem with light guns is that they have to have the screen in front of them. So you've got an entire group of people who won't be able to play it right then because they won't have, unless something's changed. I don't think they work very well on projectors. So that would be one thing that you would have to worry about. I would like to see it with a light gun. I wouldn't want the light gun to be expensive. I don't want to add more money to some purchase.
Yeah, but not that expensive. Like, but like $60, $50.
Gyro aiming on the PS5 works, right? You could gyro.
Yeah, you could have like those things where you put the controller in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, or you could just hold the fucking PS5 by one hand and play for the 1 hour the battery lasts, right?
The adaptive shit.
Yeah, you got your 1 hour
like
battery.
1 hour, I'm just joking. It's still longer than the COD campaign, though.
Yeah. Oh. God damn. Yeah, this podcast will be longer than 2 Call of Duty campaigns. All of our podcasts are longer than Call of Duty 3's Modern Warfare.
Someone can finish the campaign while listening to us. So.
All the way through. Yeah, the Sega leak was pretty, well, it wasn't a leak, I should say. Sega wasn't a leak. Okay. That was them getting those patents open. And nice. Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon. What were some of the other ones? House of the Dead. Then the ones we knew about. It might have been a Phantasy Star, maybe Phantasy Star wasn't on there, but Sega's got some big stuff. I don't think it'll be big games. I think it'll all be the mini remakes, and I'm fine with that. I actually think those will work.
With how much, like how much they changed, like Streets of Rage and what was the other one?
Golden Axe.
Warrior X. Golden Axe.
Yeah, that one looked rough.
Making all three. That one looked a bit rough, right? But Streets of Rage looked pretty cool from the little snippet. Crazy Taxi looked fucking awesome.
Golden Axe looked like a game they didn't want to leak the footage, right? Like that was the one that looked like somebody leaked the footage and then randomly stuck it in that trailer. Because all the other games
looked kind of like a Gauntlet game, no? A little bit.
I mean, I play a lot of Gauntlet, and I don't know one that looked that shitty, but yes, it was the format of that. It looked rough, man. That got when you look at all the other games,
but
like
you have like a roughness. You have like a roughness radar when it comes to trailers. Like you pick out
usually
shit.
I can pick that up. That one was like the No Man's Sky fantasy one. I'm like, that tower is out of place. That tower is out of place.
I don't know how you caught that the first time, but after watching it a couple of times and I saw it like off it's like building a thing in a city builder.
Yeah, you see it a little bit off and you're like, that's real. That's why I like it though, because then you're like, that trailer was, at least those parts, that was real. That, nobody's going to make a trailer in CGI.
I think the only thing that felt unreal was, I think they didn't completely code flying in it, and they kind of like did it together just for the trailer, because the way the camera was moving was way too smooth, right? It was like way too like shoot.
That could be true too, where they're sort of cheating a little bit on the camera. But I will say that a lot of it seemed to be flowing well. Yeah, it's hard to know. Maybe they chose a really cinematic camera that when you do play it, you're gonna be like, I don't like this game. Some games have
I
really
wonder
cinematic.
Though, like I wonder how many people in one server, if it's like the full world, right? Or if they're gonna do like a like a thing where other players don't load in unless you're like in a mile radius or something. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be the best way to do it, is just say who's around you, what's their ping, and if they're around you, boom, they're in your world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We got some super chats here. Edward say, "Oh, by the way, about the Gears of War. Have I ever thought of doing that? That's a huge thing. We do the patron stuff quite often, and we're doing a Fire Pro Wrestling competition, but it's mostly in the patron because doing stuff out and about, there's just a long list of problems that can come up." Edward, $5 super chat. Thoughts on an open world game based on John Wick? What studio would you assign the project to?
The Sifu devs. I think John Wick is a game that would totally benefit from that type of combat, like a gun fu combat, because it wouldn't be fun like as just like a third person shooter. Like you want to do these acrobatic things, and you don't want it to just be an animation. You'd want to be in control with it, like control. So it would be cool if the Sifu people made like a Sifu game but with guns. I think that'd be really fucking cool.
Yeah, I think it's just me speaking. I like John Wick as a movie. A John Wick game would not interest me as much as some other IP. I'd still play it, and if it turned out awesome, that'd be great. But for whatever reason, that character's inability to die. I like the movie where it's like he's just trucking forward, and I don't know how the game. If John Wick was dying a bunch in the game, I think I would start to lose the effect of what John Wick is. John Wick's an unstoppable force regardless of anything. Dude, he got shot and fell off a building, like. He fell off a building.
Maybe it could be like one of those like Hotline Miami things where if a bullet's gonna hit you, you gotta repeat. You know what I mean? Go again. You
Wick
can't get
vision.
Any. You have no health.
Yeah.
One shot, and you gotta. Yeah.
Deacon says Fire Pro Wrestling might be my favorite wrestling game. It should be. Lombardo says, have you ever noticed that when you're watching a YouTube video or any uploaded video gameplay, it appears smoother than actually playing? Yeah. I mean, a lot of times it is smoother, depending on what your system is. I've definitely seen janky FPS, though, in some trailers. So,
yeah, I it could go both ways for sure.
I mean, if somebody uploads, let's say they make it in Premiere, you have frame sampling, frame blending, and optic flow for smoothing frame rate out.
Yeah.
They may be choosing, it would probably be blending. Yeah, blending is the one that makes it a little bit smoother. They might be choosing blending or something when they upload the trailer. I'm not too worried about that because whatever judders you are seeing that are overcome by blending, you're going to notice elsewhere, or you're not going to notice too much. If there were huge frame rate dumps in a trailer, that's what you would notice those in the game. But I think little snippets. I've seen a lot of games where they pan in a trailer and there's still you still get that judder in the trailer. And I'm just, there was in the No Man's Sky, they did a couple, and there was little bits of like
little judder.
You can sort of notice it. Yeah. Okay, I think we got all those super chats. Moving on from there, where were we? In fact, what were we talking about?
I didn't talk about the Twitch shit last time. There was like a bunch of issues there.
Yeah, what was going on with Twitch? Oh Twitch my god!
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. I'm gonna grab a pop.
Yeah. You have your headphones in, right?
Yep.
So there's a lot of shit with this Twitch thing. First of all, I think what they did is stupid. I think Twitch always does stupid shit with their DOS constantly. But I don't have the same opinion as others. It's more of a nuanced discussion, really. But so first of all, the new update on the consumer side, I feel like on paper it should be better for consumers because now you can just click on a filter and turn off all of that shit. You know what I mean? You don't have to see any Coomer content. So it should be fine for the consumer if it's working as intended. However, so I think there's like two main bodies of Twitch that are kind of head to head with this type of thing. There's one mindset where it's like, okay, we gotta let we're kind of hindering female creators from doing what they want. We gotta let them to do more of what they want, blah blah blah. And then we got the ones that are like, we want to be advertiser friendly. We want to make money with advertisers. How are we going to make money with advertisers if we're going to have this shit on our site? There's that. And then I think the biggest issue, okay, if you want to go the female route, I think the biggest issue here is for creators. I think to be a female creator, let's say you want to just do games, even the most popular ones like Pokemon, all that shit. There's like an expectation now. There's like an expectation for these streamers to have an OnlyFans and Coomer content out there on the internet. And that is, I think, like one of the most damaging things. I don't care about like children arguments and stuff. I feel like with the new changes, they should be able to do like parental control and all that shit. I think Twitch should be ideally none of that. I feel like you should think to yourself like, oh, if it was like something that is okay for an underage person to do in general, like you think, oh, if an underage person were to do that, would that be okay? And then think for yourself like, okay, then it's not okay, it should be off Twitch, you know? So you can't like go there and do like the body paint weird fucking extra cleavage ass water fucking drawing. But there's also another thing where not only Twitch, but I feel like if Twitch, like let's say Twitch increases the TOS thing, like let's say, okay, you can now do something for like 5% more, right? Let's say they kind of bend the rule a little bit. I feel like a lot of Twitch creators just they're like bug testers, you know what I mean? They push it to the max, the limit. They're like, oh, we could do like some artistic nudity, we're gonna draw horse cocks, you know what I mean? So there's that happening too. And so a lot of them got banned because I guess a part of Twitch wasn't super fully updated with the new TOS systems, and they went and they had to unban and stuff. I think it's like just pure chaos happening right now and people just pushing limits. But yeah, I think overall, like Twitch is going to keep doing that. I don't think consumers, consumers, I don't think they're going to be affected that much. I think mostly the creators and just the Amazon. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen with advertisers and all that stuff. Yeah, so that's where I stand on it.
I just don't know. I guess I don't understand Twitch so much, but I don't understand if there was this bubbling, incredibly huge audience that wanted to see it slightly more tit. Like, that's what always surprises me with these changes. I don't see that Twitch has to change anything. They've got the rules down. Those rules seem to be working. There's always going to be people bitching that say, I can't masturbate on camera. Yeah, you can. Go to Chatterbait or go to Cam Horrors or whatever those websites are called. And by the way, I know that's a website. That's what I meant. I don't mean those people are. It's like there's names. You can go find those. But Twitch has a particular rule set. So does YouTube. And they always suck. But Twitch just has that tendency to switch and switch. And I don't get it. Like, that's the weird thing is, you should look at something. And like you said, Twitch streamers are testers. So are YouTubers. Less so because it's a little slower. But Twitch streamers, the moment something opens up, something changes. I mean, we saw it instantly, by the way. That change happened, and you saw people saying, I'm going to go test. I mean, I saw it on Twitter, where people were like, I'm going to go test. You had guys dressed, like in body paint, pretending to have boobs, like all kinds of crazy stuff. So you already know that the undercurrent is there. I don't exactly know what Twitch thinks they're losing by keeping the rules. They must have a worry about cash, because otherwise there would be no, if you want, make an adult Twitch and separate it completely and just be like, dude, this is like alt Twitch. You could call it alt Twitch and be like, this is your risky stuff. It's a different sign in. It's different users. It's what have you. And we are not switching whatever we've had going, because whatever they've been have going, we obviously see tons of people have success. You want to get more risque, there are websites for that. And OnlyFans is a actual legit, regardless of what people think of it, it's a legit place if you want to push the limits. And I don't know if anybody's streaming games yet on there naked, but I'm assuming why not? Like, go for it. I think the big thing is also Amazon. I just want to say Amazon Prime is a huge problem with all this. So you can subscribe using Amazon Prime, and I think if you can, I don't think there's a requirement that you can't use Amazon Prime on adult channels. If there isn't, that might be their big problem. Is they're worried that Amazon, which is more family friendly, there might be a worry that people are using mom and dad's Amazon Prime to subscribe to this particular thing, and so they keep adjusting it. But why do they keep adjusting it up? Which is so
weird. I don't know, man. My theory,
weird.
Before all this happened, there was this new meta. These Coomer girls always have new metas. Like, once it was like they were like wearing like a horse mask and literally like giving blowjobs to their mics
Fans.
And calling it ASMRs and stuff.
Right.
Like there was a farting meta where they were literally farting into the mics. There was like a feet thing, a bathtub thing, and the newest one was they would like stream themselves up to here, but they'd be completely naked, right? And I think that shit gets them a lot of bits and stuff, and Twitch gets
money
revenue
from,
from
bits.
and subscribers and all that stuff, and and then people complain like, oh, if I got banned for this, why did she not get banned for that? And you keep hearing a lot of that. So I think they adjusted to be like, oh, well, these are the new rules, so we put new lines so that we could, keep having that content without people asking why the lines are so blurry. But I think they answer with the wrong thing every time, and it just makes it worse.
Or they answer it all. I mean, the honest truth is they're the ones. It's just like YouTube. I'll bitch about YouTube, but YouTube controls everything. If they choose to say you can't have a beard, I'd be like, well, then I got to figure out if I'm going to shave or I'm going to show up. But what's going on with Twitch is the opposite, where they're just trying to up the ante a little bit into the weirdest segments. It's like the little changes you made, is it worth the extra bits? What about those people who, are they just going to start streaming at that very moment, or were they already streaming and doing fine, but now that you allow for this one thing, there's even more? And I don't know what's going on with Twitch. I don't know if they want to be edgy, and so they keep trying to push the edge, or they're worried about losing, because Pornhub has a big game section now as well. I mean, dude, I put up stuff on Pornhub before to see how a review would do, because I cuss. They do okay, but it's like, obviously Pornhub is going to try to advance because there's been all their shit that they got in trouble for. So let's say another channel comes up, and they're like, okay, we're going to allow risky business as long as you're certified amateur, what have you. Well, that's already OnlyFans. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know why Twitch isn't just saying we're the place instead to be games and to be this and that, and this is sort of where we're drawing the line. Move forward. But for whatever reason, man, they just continually edge up, which is just weird, and then pull it back down. And you're just like, dude, you're causing issues and by the way, at some point, if you get people banned multiple times, you cause all these somebody's going to just do a class action lawsuit and be like, I got banned for this, blah, 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 you switched it, but this person didn't. And there's real evidence when you look. There is evidence of like some odd things going on, with some people getting banned and some people not. People selling vagina juices beer. You're just like, dude, seriously,
it's been
where are
for
we?
Years.
Yeah. It is quite literally Fifth Element, but worse. Like, it's so weird to have grown up with that movie and see an influencer in that movie 25 years ago and be like, nobody will ever be that bad. And they're way worse. It's weird to look at the way, and by the way, YouTube Shorts is the same way, man. YouTube Shorts, straight up porn stars. I remember seeing this one girl, and I'm like, all she does is pretend to give a BJ and then stand up to the camera and say, I'm full. And I was like, I don't understand the joke, because I thought there had to be a joke. Then I looked at the name and was like, okay, and I clicked on the thing, and it was like, me and my boyfriend do stuff over here, and it was on OnlyFans, and it was 100% full X-rated porn. I was like, they're just on YouTube. They're not even pretending it's about anything. It's quite literally the beginning of a X-rated film on a YouTube short. And I was like,
dude, I saw a headline on Twitter where this Twitch girl got banned for eating candy cane. And it was like the news thing was like, oh, this girl got banned for eating candy cane. What the hell, Twitch? Why would you ban someone for eating candy cane? And I looked over her profile, looked over her clips. Dude, she made fucking candy cane that looked like dicks, and she was sucking them on camera. And she was licking it shit. Like, dog, come on, man.
Yeah, I just think that I just think that people will push it, Those guys don't write rules very well either. I don't know whoever handles like their, the subset of what is okay and what's not. But whoever's writing those needs to be fired, because they suck. They're terrible at writing rules. I mean, like when you just look at them, every Twitch streamer or whatever looks and goes, I'm going to test that. And the reason why is because there's a testable gap in whatever they've said. You're like, all right, let's check this out. Rick Gaffney, $5. You think Sega's Super Game is a Sega metaverse like what Fortnite's doing? Yes, I do. We talked about this last week. On the last two podcasts, actually, I do believe, at least from what we're looking at, that will be what's going on, is that Sega's Super Game, I would love for it to be a big game, but I actually slightly believe it'll be. They've had the Sega Marketplace. They were the first ones to do a marketplace in the Sega Genesis days. I think that their front end, Rare Replay, was a front end for Rare games. I just feel like you're going to go into an app or go into Sega's store or whatever, and it'll have like a front end, and then you'll be able to jump into all these games. Maybe they'll have overlaps with skins like Fortnite and Lego and Racing do.
Yeah, dude, I loved having those one discs where you put them in and there's like a bunch of Sega games or Atari games or whatever.
I just feel like that's what they'll do. A Super Game would be amazing, but I certainly hope it's not Shenmue 4. That's the problem is, does Sega have a Super Game? Yeah, Sega's big Super Game would be like
Persona, right?
Phantasy Star. No, I'm talking. So when they say super game, we have a bunch of personas. There's nothing super about it other than it's already Persona. It's already super in many fans. So to me, super game has to be something that would be either many IPs layered under one front end meta, or an old game. And their oldest big game is Phantasy Star, and they have the online, but it's pretty shady. They're online. I mean, I liked Phantasy Star Online, but it looks like it's from 10 decades ago. Like, it's rough. Right. Yeah, so I could see a Phantasy Star RPG with tons of money like Final Fantasy, but I don't know if there's enough Phantasy Star fans out there. I mean, I'm one, but I
don't think so. But Genesis was cool. I think I don't know if it's done yet, if it's like a full game now, but
what is it?
It was fun. The Phantasy Star Online 2 Genesis. It's like they revamped everything.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun, but it doesn't look anywhere near current. We're talking well beyond last gen. Like, it is rough look. I mean, some of the effects, but it's like super low res. It's like really janky, almost free to play Chinese free to play game look in some of the way. Well, I guess we talked about this. I don't know if it was your podcast at the time before, that Japanese free to play looks different than China. China has a tendency.
It was us.
Was that you? Yeah, with great graphics. So I would say this looks like a Japanese free to play game, where the gameplay is there, and it is there, but the graphics aren't up to snuff.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah,
that was us with Japanese and Chinese free to play. It is. It's so interesting. When you really think about it, you can identify it pretty clearly too.
Yeah, or Korean even. You can identify a Korean MMO.
Next up is VR back. We'll cover this shortly. So, no. All right, moving on. No, it's not back. No. Dude, it's the same thing that happened with Half-Life, man. One great game does not make anything. They missed their chance. When all the VR was coming, they should have used the VR. They should have used the hardware coming together as a fake platform like you would with a new PlayStation, and they didn't. And now that's why every time somebody tries to get traction, you see people saying it's the new, Genesis of VR, and it's like, dude.
Yeah, and I think affordability is a big thing. They want a big market share to start pushing games into it.
Yeah, and Meta's made it clear they don't even have apps for their shit. I mean, it stated it right in that interview. He's like, oh, we don't have apps for it. You need, even if somebody started today, you have 3 years to wait. You've got this one that came out. You've got a couple of these games that sort of hit sort of big. But as somebody in chat yesterday brought up, every discussion this person was in, whenever they mentioned VR, people were suggesting Beat Saber. And they were like, seriously, that's where VR's catalog is that you are still suggesting Beat Saber as one of the premier games? Like, where are we with this? And Half-Life Alyx is obviously mentioned, but that's,
it's like the only...
Yeah, dude, it
actual next gen big thing, right? Yeah.
And Sony dived on their PlayStation VR owners. I'm sorry.
Is anything coming out on that?
Not only is nothing coming out, dude, no backwards compatibility, and they're like, well, technically it's like technically bullshit. I don't give a fuck what you have to deal with technically. You're the company. Has nothing to do with me. As a consumer, when I buy it, I need to have a return. And the lack of backwards compatibility on their own console VR was ruthless, and we see it playing out in that some people bought it, but it's not your dad still hasn't been turned on.
No, dude, it's literally right. It's like he didn't even. He was like, "Yo, where's my thing?" By the way,
dude, that's what I just said a couple days ago. I was looking for all my VR helmets to discuss because somebody was asking me like how many I had, and I can't find the PlayStation 2 VR. No clue where it is. It's not where I thought. It's not with the other helmets. I looked under box, and I'm like, I'm sure I just packaged it up somewhere because it's useless.
You might as well, dude. Yeah. Unless you're the only ones I see continuously using it are like the VR chat degenerates,
I would like to see I think one of the big metas that they could hit, not just meta but VR, would be streamers being able to stream via inside of the VR helmet with all of the stuff set up. So like Twitch is like, here's your VR version of our Twitch page to get you set up. It's very easy, blah, blah, blah. And then you can adjust your avatar, you can adjust your voice, and you can stream, and it does all that perfectly. We're well past that. But that's the kind of stuff I would like to see, is where VR, because VR will, almost all technology catches on because of porn. So if you ignore that, that porn has driven the video game industry for years, technology upgrades, that's not driving it right now. And you look at VR, and I think VR cameras, we know that porn for VR cameras is fucked up. There's been multiple like technology improvements, but there's issues there. But I think the big issue is if you want to stream and not do adult stuff and you want to stream to Twitch, you have to make it so that the person putting the VR can do everything.
Yeah.
I just had somebody yesterday in our chat go, guys, I can't take this headset off. Can you look up a command for me? And I'm like, we're fucked. If you have to take off the actual device to find out what button to press, like where are we?
Yeah,
Like,
I've seen like add-ons that streamers use to like look at chat and kind of move it in their peripheral. There was like tech as well that you could set up a camera so that the camera would be in the VR and it would film you and you would be in the world.
Yeah.
Shit's cool.
Yeah, it's great, especially if you're a hottie and you've got like, you know, a nice skirt on. But like me, nobody's going to want to see me doing jump kicks. I don't want to see me doing jump kicks. What the fuck? Right. It only, looking at the streamer, having any kind of selling point being not looking at the game is an indication there's a problem. That's the indication there's a problem. Is that a selling point might be looking at the streamer the entire time they're doing. You're just like, well, that should indicate right there that we have a huge gap in the delivery of these games. What should happen is people are saying and it's why we get shit during the podcast streams for Xbox or something. People be like, KARAK-ACG's faces are too small. And I'm like, bitch, you don't want to see my face. We're showing new trailers. What?
They should make it so that everyone with a VR headset watching the stream can be in the game watching them.
Yeah, something like that.
Move around in the game world or something.
Yeah. It's just lacking, man. It's lacking everywhere.
But that would be kind of stalkery, right? What if you're like stalking them in the game world? But anyways, I
mean, that's meta of a meta that they haven't even met the first part of the meta. Let's worry about that.
Stalking meta of girls.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Doki Literature Club. Yeah.
I mean, if you're just, if we're so interested in VR, if these companies are so interested in VR, they need to figure out a way to make sure that the cost is equivalent to what you're getting. PlayStation VR is just hugely, hugely painful in that one particular area.
Why are companies interested in VR?
Because everybody believes it's another level of a platform. It's just there is no platform. VR is not a platform.
Are their margins good? Like, do they make a lot of money on the what? Because there's no market share. They're not gonna make money with like VR stuff. Like what?
Yeah, no. It's actually pretty rough. A lot of the VR devs, smaller devs, some are sticking around, but you go to like a lot of the gathering points for VR devs, and a lot of them have left. It left as of 2 years ago, even. So yeah, it's pretty rough. VR needs something to catch on, and the honest truth is, every other time for storage medium, it's been adult entertainment. I mean,
and it sucks, dude. I tried like a sex game in VR once, and it was so bad, dude.
Well, it's not even a sex. I mean, that too. Well, yeah, that Steam too. But it's like, or even
you need like the Japanese like machine jerkers.
I don't even think it's that, dude. I think it's the cameras for real stuff isn't even done right. Storage,
right?
Remember, it's 4K, 90 FPS, meaning the file is huge. If you want, like, let's say high definition. So one of the things I loved with VR was going to sporting events. One of the best things for me is the sporting event VR channels. And there's just very few. And some of the storefronts have them. And I watched a drag race from like behind the two drag race cars, spinning out. That was like, this is the greatest. I mean, dude, I was there. And the box, I told you about the basketball game where I thought the chick was like hitting on me and realized she was staring at the VR camera. My brain lied to me. It was like, whoa, man, hey, how you doing? And I was there, and those were shit. Yeah. They weren't even the greatest, but nobody's taken the time. You almost need a embracer that's doing well, or somebody small to just hit a couple dozen events, man. They had some boxing events. They had some WWE events, or I think it was one of the smaller wrestling ones.
You know what the best use case for VR is right now? Like arenas and arcades and shit, like actual arenas or something. Like VR arenas.
The sim games, I mean, Sim VR, or Simulator, let's see, Thief Simulator. The VR version of that is tremendous. Yeah, those guys need to hit it more. A Mechanic Simulator, VR, all of those mechanic slash real life Power Wash VRs, they work. Euro Truck, those things they're sort of leading it, but they're not leading it because it's always after. It's like, here's the main one. We need a couple of these companies to be able to do it day one. It's too hard right now. Ref says, I still have a HTC Vive. Picked it up when Valve reduced the price. Reduced the price to $600. Reduced. That's the reduced price. That's ridiculous. And sometimes I wonder if or when I can play newer games.
Yeah.
Surely Valve's cooking something up. Yeah. I mean, they're always cooking something up. It's probably going to be shit, just like everything else they do. That's the problem with Valve, man. Half-Life Alyx came after. Like, I don't know, dude. I get why people love Valve. I honestly do not like that company, man. The more the way I see the way they do shit, the more they're like Apple. Let me sell you a $3,000 stand for your computer. And there's just this.
Have
and
they
Sony,
done that? Like overpriced?
Dude, the index was ridiculously overpriced.
Right? $1,000.
It was close because it had the crazy controllers they were trying to tell everybody would change the world.
Everything. Oh, that too with the fingers, the finger controller.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine just putting $1,000, dude. I'd rather put it in a good ass like S&P 500 or something. Fucking put it in a VR headset.
Isn't there a rumored standalone headset from Bob? Oh, I thought he meant, isn't there a rumored $3,000 stand for your VR headset? And I was like, I would not doubt it, man. Apple's is going to be expensive.
Headset is what, $4,000? $4,000?
$3,000 or $4,000.
Dude, imagine paying that much. You could buy a whole PC with a 4090 almost.
I mean, let's say you want to get into it to adult entertainment. 3K will get you a high-end Escort. You could have a real event. Like,
yeah, there you go, dude.
We're getting into the point to where like that's the cost of a used car. What are we doing?
Yeah.
You know what? But Apple has such a fan like cult like personality about their stuff that they can make their phones go slower each update. And no one can.
Oh my goodness, dude! And Apple stocks keep rising over time.
Yeah. Valve sitting on the Steam store chilling. Yeah, they're doing well. I get it. Somebody's going to say they like Valve. I haven't seen it yet, but if it happens, I know you love Valve. That's fine. I don't.
Gaben, we all love Gaben, right? Dude, did you realize Gaben's son is a I think NASCAR? Is it NASCAR? He's a racer.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that.
A well-known racer. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't aware of that at all.
Looks like him. Looks just like him.
Does he? I generally don't even have a problem with like Gabe as a person or whatever. I just don't like that. I just don't like the way Steam does so many things in the prices. 3K used car ain't gonna last long, KARAK. Dude, you're wrong. One of my friends is on his 7th year for a 3K used car. They do like you just got to know where to get them. What are we gonna say?
I think the worst thing was like leaving everyone on a cliffhanger at the end of Half-Life 2 episode 2 and then being like, yo, we're making so much money from Steam right now. We ain't even gonna fucking we ain't even gonna try. Put money into a game. Imagine, they're sitting on piles of cash. Yeah, I'm surprised. They even did the Alyx thing, like what I mean, like the
Alyx
VR
was
thing.
Good, man.
Alyx was so good, dude. Jesus
Christ. It was especially really good for their return, which was to not only sell headsets but sell the game and then just abandon it. Alex says ACG has been confirmed. Yeah, we already talked about Activision at the very starting.
Yes, sir.
Moving on from there, let's talk about patents.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if I'll go through this real quick and then I'll ask you your thoughts on it. So Sony filed a patent. It's not the same as getting it, filing a patent. Some people file patents on purpose too, so no one else can get the patent later, even though they don't want it. They're sort of warning people. But
it's
Sony
not approved yet or whatever, right?
Right. And Sony applied for a generally wide patent, but I've investigated this thing for way too long. I was going to do a video, and then my energy petered out this week, and I was like, I was having too much fun in the Discord. But what really goes on is this patent is for dynamic difficulty across multiple games. That's the huge switch here. So imagine you have a profile with an NFT in there, because that's sort of what this in a weird way. That's sort of what this is doing. Is because your unique data no one else has. Every game you play, it takes all of your data, how fast you shot an enemy, how fast you won the race times, cars you chose, how fast you killed somebody in Street Fighter, everything. And the more data it gains, the more it is able to identify your speed at reaction times, your general, the number of games you played in a certain genre. And then when you open up a game, you might have an additional difficulty level. Because the first thing people worried about was, would this replace hard, easy, and medium? It wouldn't. Outside of Sony games, because third-party companies are going to be making those difficulties for every platform. That's a huge thing right there. Be aware of that for anybody listening. But what would happen is you would put this data in, and you would play a game, and you open up your 4th or 5th fighting game, and you do dynamic difficulty, and it can adjust as you play and say, okay, KARAK is a little slow on this, a little fast on this. Let's adjust the speed or adjust health. There's a boatload of problems people aren't realizing. For example, one of the parts of the patent is patently impossible for every game, at least, and that's adjusting animation speeds for stuff. That's literally going into the engine, and do you know what you could break? If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, turn Skyrim above 60 FPS without the patch. And
that was
watch
what
your
I was
world
thinking of, dude, when you were
fall
saying
the
that.
fuck apart. Yeah.
All physics. Yeah.
So it's a great idea because it collects all this data across multiple games. And
Is it a good idea?
I'm not done.
Sorry.
It's a great idea.
Is it?
It's a great idea because what it could do is also, they were even saying, does this person read the tutorial? Do we need to pop it again? Stuff we bitched about. I haven't played this game in a while. So what if it knows I haven't played Assassin's Creed Syndicate in a while? It's like, hey, bro.
Little bitch ass telling you hints and shit all the time. God of War.
Yeah. You're like, do you remember how to do this? But as I looked through everything, what it seems to me is all this data it's going to get would require something that doesn't exist. And that's none of this data is collected currently.
Yeah.
Also, a new player would not have this data. So that removes just Sony games also, because I said some third-party games, they won't want to do this that much. But if you get a first-party game and you make a new account, that new account will have no data, which could dramatically affect your dynamic difficulty versus, say, another sign-in. Let's say you have 2 sign-ins. I have 3 for NDAs. One that's disconnected from everything for playing betas of games. That would have no data or completely skewed data because maybe I'm just playing new games on that. So my entire statistics are gathered incorrectly on that because it's all games I haven't played before, which means I'll be generically a little bit worse at them. So there's a huge list of things. I like the idea, and I think it's actually a good idea for testing and making games where you've done this and I've done this, where you get Warhammer 40K and you look at the difficulty and there's thousands of options in Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader. Like, you remember in the difficulty section where it's like you can adjust different enemies? Do you know what I'm talking about? Warhammer 40K?
Yes.
So you've got something like that, which is great, but a lot of game players don't know what all those mean.
Has something akin to that too.
Yeah, so I love that. I love it as a test, but I don't see any company removing it. And certainly not a third-party company, because they're going to want their games to do a certain thing. Also, some of the changes they were talking about were, dude, we're talking engine changes, man. Like stuff that is, for example, speeding up an animation in a game. Let me just point something out. We're having FPS problems already in games.
Yeah.
How are you going to speed up the animation in a game if you're locked at 30? What are you talking about? How are you going to speed up the animation if you're locked to 60? You could maybe, depending on what that character is. Some characters you're not going to be able to. What if it's a big boss? You can't speed them up because you're already hitting your frame rate limit on your GPU. And there's all these issues. And what I believe Sony was doing is saying, this is an idea we have. We may do something generic and try it. But it actually sounded more along the lines of, or what I read, more along the lines of, okay, here's a patent. The ideas we have, it's going to stop anybody from trying to patent really detailed shit like Nemesis. But Sony files so many patents. I just want to warn people that Sony files a ton of patents, doesn't follow through on them a ton of times. I just feel it's more their idea of a futuristic thing that they might do. Could be a family setting, maybe, where you go in and say, family setting, let's use dynamic difficulty. But a lot of these engines, it would just be ridiculous. What information is it going to take from a fighter to a racing game? I'm better at racing than I am at 2D fighters. So that data is going to be fucking skewed beyond all belief. I don't want a 2D fighter to go, KARAK's really good at a racing game. Let's crank up the dynamic difficulty. You're just getting schooled. You're just getting your ass roasted. But dynamic difficulty is already in many games. So you're going to be doubling up on dynamic difficulty because we've already seen it. Multiple games have dynamic difficulty. Dynamic difficulty has been in games for... Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is one of the first ones somebody mentioned. But we've got ones that I was looking back. We have ancient ones, that have already had slight adjustments to things. The idea is good, but I think the patent, at least from what I read, And I read they had 2. They had all these documents, really cool stuff. They had some great ideas, but they're general ideas that I just want to tell people I don't think you should be too worried that tomorrow, if you do really well in a volleyball game, suddenly a wrestling game is going to be harder. I just don't. Yeah. It just doesn't. It doesn't sort of pan out with the technology we have. That was my thoughts. Yeah. What were yours?
For me, so here's the thing. I generally do not like the idea. For me personally, like if they were to do an option, like as you said, like okay, I want to opt in for dynamic difficulty, that'd be cool. If it's ingrained in their games, I just really dislike the idea, and I've disliked it in games before. I have an aversion, and I've talked about this a lot, to like ultra balancing everything to suit, like to make the game like kind of just on that middle ground. Even skill-based matchmaking in like quick matches on Halo, I like this boss was difficult, this level was difficult, this level was too easy, and they can also change pacing in a game by doing that, where they can like kind of take you up valleys, down valleys, and make the game, I think, more exciting when there's a lot of
variation in that
variation in polarity and stuff like that. I just don't like the way the trend of modern games just kind of equalizing everything to make everything like good for everybody. Options are always good, but that's like the thing that screams at me, where it's like, oh, we're balancing everything around how you play, and it's like, oh, then I'm never gonna get better, or I'm never gonna overcome a challenge. And I think overcoming challenges is like is really fun, and it gives you a dopamine hit, and it could be very, very satisfying. So I don't know what the hell that would, what precedent it would set, or what it would do to gaming.
Well, and here's another thing, man. So I talked about this in the video, and then just like I said, I kiboshed the video. I'm like, I'm not covering all this. But one of the things I brought up in the video was parry timing for Liza P. So if you look at Liza P parry timing, it is quite tight. And I think even the people who are really good at Liza P, the people who got good, the people who hate it, will all agree that was their shtick, was a little bit tighter parry time. If you're adjusting the parry time dynamically, dude, I don't need that. I need to know where the ladder rung is.
Yes.
And there is a combo and a timing in where I'm like, okay, I step slightly to the right, boom. I need yes. If that fucking thing is going up and down, Jesus.
You up,
so my opinion is they got to be smart. That's my hope, and they wouldn't do that. So then I start looking at other stuff. Okay, health. Yeah. Maybe they give you a little bit more health. But here's the big problem too. If that entire experience is nullified, if that entire thing is, I guess not nullified, but if that entire thing is sort of numbed down to a generic average for me, then I can't even tell the other person who's playing it if it's difficult or not. Because at that point, things change. And I think a huge amount of the zeitgeist around games is, what's the challenge level of this? For example, all these Dark Souls games, usually we talk about one or two things in each one that's different. And you're like, okay, Neo's got this. Dark Souls has this, Forgotten Lords has this, blah, blah, blah has this. If we can't, if it's all dumbed down, I think that there's actually this nebulous zone where it's difficult to talk about the one main thing the game has or should have in common. And so I just don't think that's where they're going with this. I think that it's more along the lines of just some sort of the more generic, hey, you played this game, it's been a while, you listened to tutorials, we've tracked that you use the tutorial.
I like that idea.
So do I. And like, they could say, when I show a tutorial, KARAK uses that move without any enemies 3 or 4 times. That means he's testing that move. So he pays attention to the tutorial. This guy needed it twice. But then you're going to get the guy who it looks like he needed it twice, but really he just did it because he was worried the tutorial would pop up again. And so he's like, yes, I did it. And by the way, dude, that's me. I'll see a tutorial and I'll be like, ignore it, and then it'll pop up again. I'll be like, motherfucker, I know what the right bumper is. I'm going to do it like 10 times in a row now. And you're like, and you fly through the level, and you're like, do you understand? And then the game will be all, okay, he's got it.
That's a good use case, because I went back to God of War for the DLC, and you already have all your skills, and I was like, oh shit, I have 3 weapons with all like different skills for each one. Forgot everything. So well, but then there is a line. Oh my god, what game kept giving me tutorials over and over again? Oh my god, it pissed me off, dude. Pissed me off.
Didn't Mirage get pop tutorials at the starting a bunch of times? I feel like it was Mirage recently for some reason.
Probably.
I could be wrong on that, but
Mirage, Division did that a bunch.
Yeah.
No, there was one where it was like, oh, by the way, you can reload. Oh fuck, I forgot what it was, but it was
Wait a
annoying,
minute.
dude.
I had that. That is a game that came out recently.
Yeah.
Where it was
Yeah, what the
reminding
fuck
me of
was it?
something so generic, but it wouldn't go, or it was kept pop. What the fuck was that?
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and look
yeah.
at the reviewed games, but that
I
did
think
pop
we
up.
talked about it.
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah. Maybe Spider-Man or no?
It wasn't Spider-Man. I don't know what it was,
No.
but I know for a fact that we were like, why is it still telling me this?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that's the game maker too. And then again, that would mean they'd have to have some kind of touch with the code of third-party games, which I don't think a lot of third-party, even Microsoft might say, we don't want it dynamically changing on another platform. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Sony would bitch. They have a problem even with crossplay, which is both controllers, and they can't agree. So there's a lot of stuff. I like the idea of saying, hey, man, you played this a bunch. You pay attention to tutorials, but it's been 6 months. Let's pop a couple tutorials, and we'll track that, see if you use it. I have no issues with that. But I think overall, when I looked at it, and it was a very generic, it had detail, but it was generic in that it was more along the lines of this is what something would do, but they didn't have, as most patents, it didn't have any what ifs. It didn't have, so I'm looking at it from as a developer perspective. And I did talk to a developer and was like, what do you think? And they're like, listen, man, it sounds good as an overall idea, but can you imagine playing Halo, who already has a great dynamic difficulty sort of built in, has some flexibility in how it does architecture and its classes? Fear's difficulty is completely different because there's some fakery going on in the AI. Can you imagine trying to change that? The amount of what if one thing goes wrong? Like, look at ChatGPT currently is considered lazy. I don't know if you've been reading up on AI. But the newest version of ChatGPT has become lazy, and it's true. I used it yesterday. It will literally just say, yeah, here's the answer. Go look up the rest on your own.
Oh, shit.
And I've never seen it do that. It legitimately said that. It was
It's like Siri now.
yeah, it's like, you know what? You need to do something, fatty. So what if they make a mistake, right? And that goes out. You're asking a lot for the architecture. You're asking a lot for bug checking, different QA. Yeah, so I think, it's a patent. It's a patent. Also, from that same dev, I did hear something that I thought was really cool, and it was about Nemesis. So I've been under the assumption this entire time that Nemesis was stopping devs from using Nemesis-like systems. That was, confirmed. Some people look at those and they're a little nervous. However, the way that patent was written, I guess, and how it was done, the devs, some devs, at least his group, was like, there are ways for us to do pretty much what we want to do with the Nemesis system and still skirt that patent easily. So the reason why Nemesis may not be showing up is because it is a lot of work. I mean, if you look at Shadow of Mordor, it was a generic hit Y to win, use Lord of the Rings IP to do the story, but the main thing was Nemesis. And I think that the worry is that if you do a game and that's the big deal, it could cause issues. But he was pointing me to some of those games with enemy, what do they call it?
Behind the scenes stuff, right?
Behind the scenes stuff, including racers, a couple racers that still do have a pseudo Nemesis arc enemy. I think F1 has it, and a couple others. He was like, the reason why is because you can work around those. But the big thing was, of all things, if you look at that IP, it's the structure of how it displays it that is patented. So the tree of orcs, the display of like where they move, that appears to be in that patent, and that could be difficult because if they can't even tell you, if they can't show you what's changing, and they move it around, you see like this racer goes up here because you beat him, and this guy crashed into this guy, so this guy's out for the season.
Assassin's Creed had very similar looking.
It did. Cultists, Templars,
stuff.
and the
mercenaries.
And I think I called them Templars, but they weren't. I think they were what's the first game where they play the horn when in Origins? Weren't they called something different?
I don't play Origins that much. Yeah,
but it's in there. So I asked people some questions if they had any. Let's go with this. Talking about Forbidden West. The Last of Us made use of difficulty customization. Yeah, difficulty customization is awesome. Like, pick easy, medium, hard, then you can also go in. Because I don't know about you, sometimes I like it when I was playing Avatar, where I loved huge amounts of damage coming in and going out, but the actual number of enemies, I was wondering if it changed. So I went to like medium instead of hard in enemy engagement. So you might have a couple guys that are hit really hard versus a ton of guys that do, I think that's great, man. The ability to adjust
that stuff, because I like for a lot of games I just get a mod that I could adjust things for, like increase player damage, increase enemy damage,
increase NPCs
decrease
in the
enemy
battles.
accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Starfield has a number of them for combat. Hitman's got some for changing
Starfield.
Enemies. Yeah. Oh, did
I made
you?
it like lethal both ways. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Let's see. I think the two Doom games are fundamentally different. Oh, you guys are talking about Eternal. They are pretty different. They are pretty different. Wild Hearts had a terrible tutorial setup as well. Wild Hearts. Wild Hearts is the rip-off Monster Hunter, right?
Yeah.
Eternal says, so I do like the concept of the new patent, even if the implementation is uphill. Yeah, I think, for instance, when you look at it, you could probably be fine with how it works. I don't think there'll be a huge problem with dynamic difficulty, but it'll probably be way less than what they were. I mean, I don't even know the animation stuff. Like, can you imagine if like there's 6 enemies, but they're low damage, and you have a hard time hitting them? So the game's like, hey, we need to speed up, or you're easily hitting them, so it speeds it up. Well, that's actually more frames per second, which we're already having issues. Like, there's a lot of technical shit. Alex says, Bloober Team's announced today that it entered into a partnership with Skybound to create a game that currently has a codename of R. Codename of R. Bloober Team's done what? They're doing PT, right?
Oh yeah, they did the Layers of Fear.
The Medium.
They did. Did they do the media? Did they do? They did the
Blair Witch.
The Blair Witch, right?
Did they? I don't know.
Or no?
I don't know. I just when you said Witch, I knew it wasn't Witcher, so I was just using the Witch name.
They did Medium for sure. Yeah.
Silent Hill. Thank you very much, Tembo.
Oh, they're doing Silent Hill. Yeah.
Terrence says, do you guys have a favorite difficulty setting?
Usually if it's 4 difficulty settings, the one right before the hardest is usually the really good one for me.
And dude, I always tell people, set it, like, at least for me, set it high, and then that way you're sort of accustomed to whatever difficulties that might be established, and then going one lower is always a pretty big
It's always better.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Jesus says, are there any games you feel have actually nailed it? I think if Final Fantasy 16 had their harder option at the beginning, it would be my favorite.
Yeah, that was such a loss for Final Fantasy. They did some decisions that they should have had. Yep, I agree. A game that did difficulty well.
Yeah, a game that did difficulty well.
We had these talks before. Obviously there's Dishonored, where you can settle a lot of things like enemy awareness versus I like that stuff a lot. Sniper Elite 5 I think has
that game is legit. It feels good on all the difficulties. Easy.
It feels like a different game, and like the hardest difficulty, lethal both ways, ultra realistic, no HUD. That one does. The
game
really
is
well,
sweet game, man.
Yeah.
Dude, they've legitimately nailed almost every title they've done too. When you look at the titles,
they're just like flying like this, man. Nothing, no volatility. Just
I would say somebody brought up Halo. I think Halo Legendary is fun, but it is crushing at times. I know when something's crushing too much versus crushing, and I do feel that at times there's some battles in Halo where they're just like, "Bitch, you're the one who chose Legendary." And you're like, oh my god, they're not as fun as maybe I was hoping they would be. But overall, I like Halo. I like Halo's difficulties.
Max Payne 3 does it well, I think, with Rockstar's Euphoria stuff. Because if you shoot a guy in the head, they're dead. You can shoot the dudes in the legs, they fall down and stuff. And the hardest difficulty is like, it's just if you get shot, you die. It's lethal. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I'd rather have enemies have new movesets or speeds. Yeah, I think most of the time.
That's
you don't?
No. Here's the thing. Like, I thought about like difficulty increasing AI kind of in ways like they have more speed, they think better and stuff. But what if someone wants to play on easy but with good AI?
Yeah, so there you go. That's actually my exact problem.
Yeah,
that is my exact complaint, is that the ability to say a bunch of AI that's easy or a couple that's hard or blah blah blah. I want that, and dynamic has a tendency to not actually do that well.
Yeah.
I'm doing a tweet on this patent on difficulty. Difficulty games. Can you hear my keyboard?
Yeah, a little bit.
Could you hear that, Lincoln?
Only when you talk while you type, not when you type it out.
Right. Yeah, because I have a limiter on. Monster Hunter difficulty, they said they like Pathfinder has a really good set of difficulty
does Monster
items.
Hunter have... Oh, Monster Hunter is just like progression, right? You go through the normal versions and the harder versions, yeah.
Yeah, I think overall when you look at the collective, game developers just aren't going to want to put their games under the umbrella of another overarching token that says how good or bad this is. Also, a lot of people share a game tag, family members, especially because a lot of these places don't use family. Xbox doesn't really have the open wide family member. So it's like the idea, some people just are saying we'll all play on the same one. Can you imagine going in, you got a friend who's like great at Fortnite, so you decide to play a shooter, and it's like, okay, you're pretty good. Boom, just rolls you.
Keeps getting adjusted,
Yeah, and I just feel like there's too much.
Multiplayer games?
Yeah, if you go in with a newbie, I saw that on the finals, I think. So there were two guys that were really good, and one of the guys who had never played jumped in, and they rolled the first two groups, and they were like, "Wow, we're winning!" And
adjusted.
They got to like the second or third one. I was like, "Uh-oh, guys, that might have adjusted for you."
Yeah.
Skill-based matchmaking, baby.
A lot of fucking BRs do the scummy shit where like they don't tell you, but the first match is always against bots, so it feels good, and you win, and you're like, "Oh, I want to play again."
Bad bots, then.
Bad bots.
Because, dude, if those bots were truly taking the AI data, you'd be dead as you entered the fucking game. You'd just be F4. You'd be...
No, they let you win on purpose. So
okay. Because I played ARMA against bots, and I can tell you, if you crank those to 100, it's like walking. It's like a nuke. You go in, all you hear is like, pew, 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 far off, and you are dead instant. It's ridiculous. I didn't know that, but I think it's fair. I think that's a fair way to enter somebody in, but you should say it's bots. You don't need to be like, Hitmeister Nutsack 749. It's like, if it's a bot, it's a bot. Just call it bot one. So people know what they're doing.
Call it that. They call it that Hitmeister. It's like, yeah, they do actually. They call it like random.
Dude, I didn't know anything about PCs, and I was playing that Unreal tournament, the first one, and I thought I was online. And I was just kicking ass, man.
You're
I was
like,
kicking ass.
Yeah, dude.
And I was like, oh man. And they jumped. I don't know if you remember, but you had the jumpy setting for the bots in Unreal.
Yeah.
And so they're jumping and they're one-linering, because that's the game's got that built in for them to be like, yo, I schooled your ass. And I was like, fuck, this is fucking awesome. And then my friend came over and we were playing, and he's like, dude, that's not online, man. Jumped online, did pretty well because I'd been playing for a while, but still, like, there was that moment where you're like, oh, wow.
Dude,
I just didn't know.
What must be difficult to adjust is like bot accuracy. Like, you don't want to make it unrealistically accurate. Like, where do you draw the line? How do you give AI human error? You know what I mean? It's kind of like a hard thing to do.
Maybe
do you just do a percentage or...
I mean, I do think this is where an influencer thing is okay. So let's say you were playing a game that Ninja had played a bunch. If you wanted to mess around and say, hey, I want to get ready to play Ninja, so put this on Ninja difficulty, and they've tracked his headshots, his turnaround speeds, because we were talking about, prior to one of the games, you and I were talking about watching him flick his mouse. And I was like, what the fuck is he? How's
like
he
everyone's
stopping?
a drivatar?
Dude, I was just like, what the fuck? He's doing this. Everybody's a drivatar. I actually don't. I like the drivatar system. I actually think it's fantastic to breathe a little personality, but also feel like you are playing a generic version of your friend. That can be fun.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind being able to choose, like, I don't know who the good esports guys are on what games, but, if you want to do a racing game, you have leaderboards, of course, but the idea of just saying, maybe you could assign... You see, I don't know. Some racing games might already allow this, where maybe you can see the leaderboard and choose to race that guy's drivatar, because I can't remember if you can do that. But if you could, that'd be great, because you see somebody who's doing awesome, and you're like, maybe I want to watch them do awesome. Like, I want to see, what am I doing that, other than just being bad, that they're not, and then watch that.
Yeah.
Ninja Gaiden. Really cool. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden was a hard game. It had dog mode, right? Or chicken mode or something? Or it had, like... Didn't it have dog mode? It was called
something. I forgot
something
what it
dog
was.
Mode. Yeah, and I remember it was like that was the easy mode, if I remember.
Then they have like a whole other game that was just hard, like the
Ninja Dog Mode. Ninja Dog Mode. That's what it's called.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Oh,
like
that was
Ninja Gaiden
really easy?
Black or something. Or I remember like a separate game that was just like master mode or something, or easy mode. Or
Probably Ninja Gaiden Black. Those guys love to mess
Yeah.
around with people, man. And
Yeah,
they sort of just know. They're like, here we go. Those games.
Oh, dude! Speaking of Ninja
We're tough.
Gaiden, did you see the Rise of the Ronin preview, like interviews and shit like that?
Yeah.
It's really cool, man. I didn't know.
You think so?
I didn't know what they were going for. Yeah, I really liked what I heard.
Getting rid completely of
No
the
fantasy.
they stated that really clearly, that they don't want any fantasy parts, and that every character in the game you can like have a friendship alliance with or what have you. So
Yeah, and
that all looks cool.
Yeah, I wonder how like they've never done an open world game before. I wonder how like how they're gonna structure it, if it's gonna be like exploration based
Exploratory.
like Elden Ring, or just like, but they said like you could make different choices, not in the main quest but in the side quests that influence the ending of the game.
Yeah, I saw that.
All that stuff is really cool. Yeah.
I just thought it looked not bad, but a little rough from what I saw.
Oh, it looks the graphics don't look that good. They
Yeah.
look last gen for sure. Yeah, 100%.
Admittedly, if the game's fun, I've played a lot of games that are well worth $60 that just don't, they're just
Look the best. Yeah,
they're just
for
a little
sure.
rubbed raw. You play them and you're like, all right, this is definitely not that top tier Unreal Engine kind of stuff. But did you see the interview about Avatar? Digital Foundry did.
I've seen the Digital Foundry video. I didn't watch the interview.
They did an interview with the tech guys. It wasn't really super eye-opening. It was in some ways, but it was really just sort of about the options and changes they made to Snowdrop for this.
Yeah.
But it was pretty cool to see that they've gone away from stuff that you just wouldn't expect. And it was also cool, regardless if you like the game or not, it was very cool to see that they took some chances. There was one particular change they made early on, and it was rough. And they were like, but we have to. And it was about a particular mesh shaders, or lack of, and what they wanted to do. And it was really cool because they were like, this is hard. One of the programmers was like, this was a super hard change for me because it was almost rewriting how my thought process was for how I do everything. But the end result is insane looking. So,
Yeah,
it was really cool to see some of the behind the scenes.
Even like Cyberpunk, Alan Wake, PT on everything, full ray tracing, everything. My GPU doesn't go over 65 degrees or something, but with Avatar it went up to 70. So I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know
see
what the hell
multiple people talking.
influences.
Yeah. Oh, so they did talk about that. So they moved a shit ton of stuff that is normally on the CPU to
like
the
even
GPU.
though it's the same utilization, like you know what I mean? It's interesting.
They grabbed I think it's almost like, your CPU is doing 65% of easy math or 65% of deep math, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But
something like that, right? Yeah.
He was talking about like they moved this to the GPU, they moved that to the GPU, they moved this, they moved things that are normally like CPU, and they're like, nah, we're going to move that to the GPU. And even if it like maybe that's not where it would normally be, they wanted to do it. They also did something I thought was cool, not necessarily unknown, but they've made it very clear that they had one CPU they don't touch at all because it's for the OS. And we've seen at times where companies don't do that. Windows is supposed to figure that out, but you'll be playing a game at 80%, your CPU, your Windows, you're trying to alt tab and everything's slow. And
the efficiency cores.
Right. Or make sure the game doesn't try to use them, because that has happened where a game's trying to use an efficiency core and you're like, you bastard, just turn off multi-core. But it was a cool adjustment to see, and some huge changes to that graphic engine that are going to pay off for Division 3.
Outlaws or Division 3? Okay.
Well, Outlaws as well. I don't know if the tech changes go, because they're both working on it, but the changes we saw in Avatar was insane.
Playing Avatar and going back and playing Division 2, I like Outlaws. Outlaws is starting to really grow for me. Like I really want to. I'm really excited for that one. It's just like
I'm very excited for
scavenger game. Yeah,
I'm really excited to see the tech growth, because I would actually say, especially with Avatar, chopping up vegetation and stuff, where we see a lot of games with barely any vegetation. Oh, that was one thing they said, is they were like, we looked at the ground, we were trying to decide how much detail to put in the ground. They were like, we can't see the fucking ground. And you can't. So they even said that they were looking and they were like, we decided some of this stuff they tensillated a little bit. They were like, but at a certain point, it's like, dude, everything's covered with foliage. So they just did some stuff, and they were like, we're just going to leave it alone, because for the most part, every single thing in the game world is covered by foliage.
That's a good point, dude. That's really
it's
funny.
just pretty crazy to see like a game that's made that many jumps.
No, these guys are my favorite Ubisoft team, bar none. I think those games are the only Ubisoft games that I really, really do look forward to, and I usually like most of their. I don't know what have they done anything other than Division and Avatar.
Massive. What Massive has done a bunch of stuff. We just had this, and I can't remember if the Massive
games.
Yeah, so they've done Ground Control, Just Dance, World in Conflict, Tom Clancy's The Division.
Division's the only game. Division Avatar is the only game I've played from them. I have never played Just Dance. I've never played World in Conflict. I have played World. I've played World in Conflict. It's an old ass game.
World in Conflict is ancient, but it shows that somebody who jumps in to do one RTS might have some good ideas, because it is many leagues above every other RTS's story that it is just like, and it tells a story through comic book type cutscenes, not even full, it's not like full graphics. It's just like cartoons, like low color cartoons that worked out well. Yeah, dude, Massive knows their stuff. It's funny because they all use so many engines, and I give them shit for it, but they did at least get rid of Deny. Deny needed to go. So the idea that this one's taking over is nice, at least for these 2 or 3 games. I like that idea. Yeah. Because the Far Cry engine is rough looking. When you go back to Far Cry 5 now, you're just like, son of a bitch, this game looks raw.
It's just the Snowdrop engine is so awesome. I just love their level design. It's just everything they do. I think the biggest thing for me is their level design. Even in Avatar, even in Division, that's like the biggest. Obviously the clutter and detail and everything, but also the way they take you into like dungeons or in the open world. Like the way Avatar is crafted, say what you will, it's just they've thought of a lot of things, because you can't just like climb any wall, right? Like they've thought of a lot of different things to funnel you into directions.
Now with like the people that I know who played it, and like some of the comment, I don't even have to say what you will. I feel now it's like that the people who like it are way more than, so it's weird because the user score for that is higher than any Ubisoft game in the past like 8 years.
So is it on Metacritic or
no,
something?
Anywhere where you can do user score, the user scores are well higher in that than it is for any of the other, even the really well-rated ones have been lower than this one. So it's like pretty interesting to see how...
user score is 8.0 while the critic score is 72. Yeah. I think a lot of the Hub people saying it's a Far Cry game, I think they haven't played it because it's not
or they just looked for whatever was easy as a comparison. It happens. But hopefully for them, hopefully Ubisoft figures out how to do marketing. I don't know, man. Those guys were just like, is a game coming out? Oh shit, we forgot. Dude, it was so weird. It was just, and we've seen that with some other companies. 505 Publishing at times has had issues where I'm like, why am I not seeing anything on this? Just like,
it's crazy that it's already 40% off, eh?
No, it is not crazy. Why? So because Ubisoft's made this quite clear, man. Ubisoft has a very detailed, not really changing sales pattern for the games. And they know exactly when and where they want to sell it and exactly what times. It does not have to do with the sales of the game. It's very clear how they do it. They know their time frames. Yeah, we talked about this yesterday in the chat, because you can actually track quite easily when they drop their prices for games, and they've dropped prices on games that were selling hotcakes, and they drop it really quick sometimes, and a lot of times it's to get that flux. I should get it now.
Crazy ass psychologists.
Yeah, well, and it's just being smart, looking and going, do we drop the price of the game?
Keeping the train going.
Yeah, keeping the train going. Yeah, and keeping that ebb and flow of like people talking about it, then bouncing back, then it's on Uplay. Sure. I'll get a Uplay subscription. And you've heard people say, I have some people who have stated it. I always wait for a sale. And I'm like, good for you, because they know that. And they're just like, we know exactly when the sale's going to pop up. And their sales, the numbers of titles they've sold speaks to them knowing how to price a game. Even though sometimes I do see these games come in a little hot on price. There's been a couple of them from Ubisoft where I'm like, how many would you have sold if you had dropped that to 40? Because I don't know what Prince of Persia is going to... The one.
Side scroller?
Yeah.
I would expect 30, right?
I would expect 30, but I have a feeling it won't be. I have a feeling it'll be 59.
50. Oh no.
I could be wrong.
No.
I
That
could
would
be wrong.
bad.
I could be wrong, and I hope we're wrong,
No.
because I just feel like a side scroller doesn't exude unless it's Ori, and even that, by the way, was lower. Where I think
Yeah.
some people just see those games and they think 2D less work, which, we know
It's
how
all
that
like
goes.
less work, but you would, yeah, no. I don't see like a 2D Super Mario Wonder is probably one that qualifies for a full price.
Well, I mean, Ori, dude, come on.
Ori.
Cuphead,
Ori for sure.
Ori. I think Ori and Cuphead were both tremendous playing games, and I
And
wouldn't have
just
a problem.
like their production value alone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I look something like Ori or Super Mario Wonder or whatever,
Yeah, Super
and
Mario
compare
Wonder
it
is
to
definitely.
even what
I mean-
Prince of Persia looks like it doesn't look as
Yeah.
the production value is as
Yeah,
I get it.
it actually looks like an Xbox arcade game. That's
Yeah.
rezzed
Yeah,
up
yeah.
and right, and so
Yeah.
I think subconsciously for us, if you feel like you're getting a deal, there's a chance you'll
Yeah.
go for the deal, and if you feel
Uh-huh.
like you're not, there's a chance you'll wait for the deal. And I think that
Yeah.
Ubisoft might have a little bit of a I don't know if it's an ego thing or what have you. Or I'm sure they have metrics for all this, but there's almost like a metric is a little off, and it's like
Yeah.
get the new ones, because I have a feeling there's so much competition that if you did that at. On the other hand, I do have people who say if a game's priced at 30, they worry its budget, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
God, there's that. There's the reverse psychology of Apple selling you a stand for $3K, and you're like, well, must
Yeah.
be fucking good, and you buy it
Yeah.
like an idiot. As
PC
everybody here
wheels
likes
for
that one.
one fucking
Oh my
$1,000.
God. Yeah, PC
Yeah.
steering wheels, or any of those video game steering wheels are ridiculous, man. And they
No,
and,
dude. Little fucking wheels you put under your big ass Mac so you can move them.
I
It's
saw
like
there was a YouTube short about it. Yeah, $999 for some wheels that you can
Yeah.
buy from Amazon that fucking go. I've used them. I've
20
got
bucks.
some that are $20 for like 8.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and you can
yeah,
get
yeah.
metal ones that have like ball bearings for the wheel. So they're not even,
Yeah.
they're not control. You don't have to like worry about what direction you push them, and they're like
Yeah.
$29.99.
Dude,
I
do
mean,
their
come on.
laptops still have like 2 gigabytes of RAM or no?
I don't know, dude. I steer so clear of their shit. Like once I stopped my last job, that was all Mac. It was such a breath of fresh air to be removed from that ecosystem. It was the best. It was weird because that was one of the big positives, was getting out of that crushing, just piece of shit ecosystem they have. I hate everything about that company, man. I mean, some of their stuff has been good, but it's just as a whole, the way they do things and price things is ridiculous.
And the thing is, like my brother has the big ass headphones, Pro Plus Pro whatever
Beats
thing,
or something, some Apple
some
headphones.
the Apple headphones or whatever, and yeah, they're overpriced. They do feel like they're expensive somehow.
Oh, do they?
Like I don't know,
Yeah.
they have good feelies,
Maybe a
you know?
weight, and like they
Little
feel like
feelies,
strong, made.
weighty,
Yeah.
and like the fucking things work and shit. But you could get way better headphones for cheaper, dude.
What about you in
Yeah.
chat? What do you think of, let's say, I got a question. When you grab a controller, if it's light,
Yeah.
do you think, great, this is light? Or do you think it's light, so it must be made like crap? Because that popped up. I just got a cheap controller that has, well, not just, it's been 2 years. I bought a sequel. I bought another for,
Has weights.
and it has fake weights. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the only difference between the two that I can tell. And the light, they work great. And they're, I mean, dude, the Elite, that piece of shit that Microsoft is selling, the Elite controller, that
Yeah.
thing, like, you get it and you can twist it and hear it, like, and this one's
Dude,
solid. $19.
I saw like a Chinese knockoff of a PSU someone bought and posted on Reddit, and it's like a 600-700 watt PSU, and it's like a cheap knockoff for like $70 or something, and it has like a big bag of iron fillings inside of it just to make it way more. So like, dude, do not connect anything to this fucking thing, dude.
Prior to selling TVs, and that how I got into selling TVs was selling car installs. So we did car installs of stereo systems, your woofers and all that stuff. One of the things we also did was we tried to talk people out of Chinese amplifiers. So you get these amplifiers that look like Phoenix Gold, one of the big brands back then. Like it looked like this, and it'd be called like, Phoenix Platinum, right? It was a complete ripoff. But you'd open it up, and everything from the capacitors, everything would be so small, which means the moment any bass hits it, it's not going to hit because there's no power to deliver. But no lie, Phoenix was like this big by this big, capacitors everywhere, huge ones, like explosive ones. If you were to get one of those to short, it was going to blow your trunk off. And then you'd get this company, we'd open them up, And I'm telling you, they were like the size of a pill that you would take.
Yeah.
And the motherboard was like this big. But the entire case was super thick metal to make it feel weighty. And you'd have people be like, I got a deal with $79 instead of $1,000 or whatever. And it's like, dude, at some point, you're probably there's something probably going. This is not a set of plastic wheels. There's something going on there. Yeah, there's a huge difference. I don't care about the weight. I care with input accuracy. Oh, interesting. But how would you check? Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't care about the weight. I test a controller about how their triggers feel. Yeah. But bumpers for me.
Triggers a big thing. Bumpers. Yeah. I hate Xbox bumpers.
Oh, dude, they suck. None of these console do I like more than any because they all have a problem somewhere. Like there's and Xbox in particular, I like the feel, but those bumpers are trash, man. They feel like cheap.
Like
Sega
their triggers
Saturn.
are amazing.
I know.
Xbox triggers are awesome, dude, but bumpers suck.
Dude, they're terrible, man. And I don't even understand. After all the switches, the Elite version 2, screw your wallet edition, for $179.99, and then same shit bumpers. Well, not the same, but obviously still not in any way, shape. And by the way, we saw somebody in our chat who showed me a picture. They were pressing they're playing games. And by pressing the bumper, they actually split the body of the Xbox Elite controller just by the pressure.
No fucking way.
Yeah, and I was just like, what the hell? And they were like, dude, I don't throw nothing. Yeah, I love the controller. I'm going to get a new one. But look what happened. And they were showing, and you always have to go in 50% belief, 50% it's a lie. Yeah. But it was like, here's somebody talking it up. But they were like, look at this thing. And then the D-pads. Yeah, somebody said D-pads matter. D-pads definitely matter.
Xbox D-pad's awesome, yeah. Do you like we talked about this before, yeah.
What?
Yeah. We talked about like the placement of I like them like up and down
asynchronous versus synchronous
because my thumbs don't press.
Or asymmetrical. Yeah. I get what you're talking about. I like them because for whatever reason I sort of also think it's more comfortable if both hands aren't identical in how I'm holding them. So I can sort of sit shifted with the Xbox One and it works a little better, but I get why people like both. My thumbs hit as well. Yeah, they're a little bit.
But more. I love the PS5 controller, but my main issue is the battery life. That's like the biggest issue.
I mean, dude, come on. Yeah, that's the problem with all of them. There's for the cost, these guys have not delivered at all. And that's why whenever I see them sell their fucking special Spider-Man version of their PS5 or Xbox will sell a Gears version or whatever, I'm just like, dude, fix your shit. Fix the shit that matters before reselling the same bullshit to somebody. You have all these issues with your controls that everybody knows about. I mean, PlayStation 5 could fix their battery. I'm sure by now there's got to be some way for them to do that. Xbox could fix those bumpers. There's $19 controllers with better bumpers than that.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
Elite Series 2 has quality control issues and known bumper failure. I mean, all the Elites do, as far as I know.
Oh yeah, my old Xbox controller. I'm pretty sure it's like sticky or some shit. It's like sometimes it doesn't press.
Interesting you say that. I have two Xbox controllers that I was gonna play some streaming games on the Android, and I picked them out of like my box and realized I'd put them in there because they needed repair. And when I pulled out both, I started hitting the buttons, and there was this almost delayed uncheck of the button, like it was gummy. And and then the A button did the same thing where I hit the A and I didn't hear it
go
untap.
down, it doesn't go up. Oh, I hate that.
And it was like,
so much.
And it was the smallest, probably not.
That's the biggest pet peeve for me.
But it's a pet peeve, yeah. And I pushed it, and when I went like this, I didn't hear that. It was like, a millisecond delayed, and I was like, the frames are off.
Done.
It's not.
That's when I get a new controller.
Yeah,
that's when I got a new controller. Legit.
They were probably there so I could let friends borrow them when I played co-op, and I was like, hey, use
there
this
you go.
controller.
Yeah, you get that one. Yeah, always.
Dude, when we used to do co-op, I don't know about you, I always had the KARAK controller. Everybody else had their own.
Yeah, same.
And it was like, dude,
I had the
you don't understand.
Xbox controller.
Yeah, it was like, this is mine. I would always make sure that one was working. Everybody else's, I'm like, hey, man, your shit. Your shit.
I always had the see-through controllers. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
See-through GameCube controller. See-through GameCube controller was mine. See-through N64 controller was for me. See-through Xbox controller.
So I I'll get a fancy color to identify it's mine, but I was really burned. I got the Forza controller, and that thing was broken within 6 months. Yeah.
I've never bought a themed controller.
Yeah, I feel really stupid. I mean, I bet you it's the same everything, so it's not really like the Forza controller is the problem. but it's like the one time I liked the look. It's the graffiti, almost Far Cry graffiti look. I think that's 5 that had the splashes of color. And I was like, yeah, I'll get this thing, and fuck, it was already dead. It just sucks.
Oh shit,
sucks balls. That's why I tell everybody, don't get themed, buy a sticker. There's thousands of sticker companies.
Yeah, there's so many stickers you can buy,
dude. There's so many. Just go buy a $19 sticker. I have my face on one of mine, like from the art or something. I'm like, dude, that works where my eyes are the joysticks. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Xbox controller design is perfect in my opinion. Quality is another story. N64 had the worst controller of all time. I preferred the Commodore 64 controller. Yeah, the Atari with one button. I'd rather play.
Yeah,
that thing was trash.
That thing was weird, man.
Just replaced the battery in both PS5 controllers, so much better. So what's for Frodo? What's the difficulty of replacing the batteries? Because I've never tried to take out a PlayStation 5 controller battery.
I've never tinkered with it.
I did try to smash those LEDs in the old PlayStation 4 one though. The fucking LED that would always flash on the front of the PlayStation 4 that looked like a Cylon. I fucking hated that thing. I don't like lights, man. On my PC,
I don't like lights.
Nothing.
Dude, I fucking Jesus Christ. I'm trying to turn off the RGB on my computer. I just don't want to download the motherboard software because it comes with so much bloatware and I have to live with it and I fucking hate it, dude. I just want to.
DualSense battery replacement is easy, TB says, and it's a bigger battery, I'm assuming, right? Because I'm not replacing it with the same bullshit battery. But if there's a DualSense battery replacement that's not super expensive, probably a third party, I would jump on that. I'll try that. I'll try it and report back to people and see how that works, because I would be excited for a battery replacement for the PS5 controller for sure. Because a lot of times when I'm reviewing, I have to have at least 3 charged because I sit for a long time to play them, and they'll run out unless I'm plugged in. I'm just like, I have 2 PS5 controllers and both have major issues. My launch edition has D-pad defect. Up arrow stopped working.
Oh shit.
The second has a ghost touchpad input. Oh, I see.
Oh god.
Random. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Abzi?
No, my 2 are still no issues there. Thank God.
So with your PlayStation controllers.
I got these 2 motherfuckers.
So let's move on to something past controllers. Let's talk about Bethesda. So did you see the story on this? It was pretty interesting.
What happened?
Obsidian, Chris Avalon had stated that they had gone and asked them to do all the side. Yeah, it was like another Far Cry 3 add-on, Fallout 4.
Fallout 4.
Even was it Oblivion that they had
Skyrim,
offered?
I think.
Skyrim. So Obsidian had wanted to do a Skyrim whatever, and they said they didn't ignore them. They just said no thanks, we're not interested.
Yeah, but that was old news, right? Before they were under Microsoft.
It was old news, and I don't even know how it got started back, because when you go, it's like so and so said this 5 years ago, but it was obviously not just brought up now because people would have seen it. So it must have been a new tweet. But Chris had tweeted and said this is a true story, that like we had suggested a couple different stories to them. Now, one of the reasons why I bring it up is because people might think, oh, they refused because maybe they were worried about Obsidian upstaging them. It could have also been that they refused because they were moving on from that IP at the time. There was no desire for them to do.
It could be a number of things. Yeah.
But I will say that with Microsoft there, if it were me, dude, Matt Booty's running now. He's over Activision. He's over Bethesda. He's over all these guys. If I were Matt Booty, I'd be going to Obsidian and Bethesda and In Exile and be like, let's super team this bitch.
You guys, Fallout 5 is gonna blow everyone out of the water.
Let's super team this bitch. Let's do it. Like, why?
Get the sandbox from Bethesda. Get the tight RPG main story from Obsidian. Get like the fucking
world
Fallout
stuff from Fallout. That's the thing, dude. It makes it's like if you buy it's almost man. This is what pisses me off. Imagine if you ran the Chicago Bulls and didn't let Kobe didn't let Jordan play with the other players. What the fuck? That's a super team. That's what you do. You didn't pay a bunch of money to say you can never be playing at the same time. It's the game of basketball, and this is the game of releasing game. I would be all over that shit. I would be at their houses right now and be like, Todd, listen.
That's a mega game. That's a game I would pay like $150
Dude, it would be fucking unbelievable. Do you know how much just pure excitement would it be if you said, we've talked to the creator of Fallout, who is in exile. Fargo. We've got Todd, and we've got the people from Obsidian, and we are going to like come together and say, we got you here on purpose for a reason, man. By the way, because those are all different purchases. That's the other, Obsidian, Bethesda, but In Exile was different. It's like, Why did we get them? If they want to do it. If they don't, that's one thing. But if I was Matt Booty, my booty would be on a plane, and I would be flying there, and I would be like, guys, we're gonna take a cabin or something, no phones, no nothing. Let's sit for 2 or 3 days and see if we can hash this out. Just this super fucking game called I don't know what you would call it, but
Fallout. Reboot.
What if you did? What if you, dude? What if you were just like, what's the game?
What
called?
if they
Fallout 6?
shadow drop it?
It's Fallout.
They shadow drop it when the show comes out. It'd be like, yo, why do you think we bought all these companies?
Dude, I mean, fuck. Every team you ever see, they put the people on the goddamn field at the same time. If Microsoft is, it's not the same as Sony, which has like Insomniac or Guerrilla. They're their own, like this has a tangible connection between all three. That's what's crazy. It's never been done before. It's like all of them have, and the guy who created the fucking thing
and the devs in there have like bounced between those companies a lot.
Dude, yeah. I would, sorry if my dogs are barking, you can hear them, but I would lose. I honestly think it would not only behoove Microsoft and Bethesda and Obsidian for whatever little issues that they're dealing with right now, but I think as pure like just fandom and getting people excited for a game, but also it's not a lie. Those, like you said, those people are there. So this isn't a lie. It's not saying we're going to get Jordan and you replace him with a guy like me that looks like Jordan. You're like, what? That's not Jordan. This is all the people, man.
Yeah. I mean, dude, imagine they get like they acquire Eidos and get Eidos and Arcane to make a new Deus Ex.
Yeah. Doom Reaper says, you guys assuming this happened after Bethesda purchase? It sounds like it happened a while back. It hasn't happened at all. At least from what I know.
The merger, it never happened. No, the Obsidian thing happened before, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they talked about it. That's why I said 5 years ago. Yeah. But it to me, dude. I don't get it because
dude, they have the RPG maker. They have the three, dude. And they all specialize in different things, dude.
Maybe this is Phil's weakness, because they've said that the one thing he does is let people go.
Yes.
And I had talked about it and by the way, Kojima, he proved me wrong. But when he had no editor at Death Stranding, I was like, dude, we're in deep shit. There's going to be a 50-hour cutscene as some dude pissing on a child. Like, you have no clue what this game's going to be. It turned out good for a lot of people. Yeah. Maybe Phil's weakness is that he doesn't say, guys, I know you maybe don't want to do it because you're worried about the fame or whatever, but what would the fame be if you did?
Yeah.
Like, imagine the people, every single company has a valid connection to Fallout. Every single company. Some have gone, but there's a DNA there, and many of them are still there. And like you said, some have moved between companies. Like, let's just do it, man. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I know Fargo would probably be. Fargo seems really laid back, I guess, because we interviewed him that time. We had him on the podcast. And the way he was talking, the way I've talked to him in the past, and how he's responded to reviews and all that stuff. I think Todd's more the businessman. Fargo's more the guy who's like quick on his feet because he doesn't have a lot of money. Yeah. But when you look at Obsidian, it's like they've always had a little bit of Obsidian's sort of the edgy BMX biker kind. Like you've got Farquaad or whatever who runs it, and he, there's been finance issues all the time. They've got Chris has had his issues. You've had all these little things, but I feel like this could be the time where you're like, okay, let's fucking bury it, man. Come out on stage and be like, dude, super game. We just decided. Go ahead.
Even Obsidian and Bethesda alone, it feels like to me that like the Bethesda's weaknesses are Obsidian's strengths, and Obsidian's weaknesses are Bethesda's strengths.
And Exile created that. I mean, and Fargo's the creator. Imagine what's in his
Exile
brain.
is like the OG. Yep. Those are like the visionaries.
Dude, yeah. I don't know what I would do, but I just think if I had all this money, why would I waste it on not doing it? I mean, that money is billions of dollars. What are you fucking thinking? And Phil's obviously, I'm sure he doesn't watch this podcast because he's fairly clean cut and he's not going to listen to me drop penis jokes. But it's like, I'm sure, unless he doesn't listen to people, and I've heard that he does, there's got to have been somebody, right? Maybe Booty will do that, but there's got to have been somebody who's like, hey, Phil, man, I know you're busy doing all the podcasts, but can we talk about a Fallout super game?
Like, would it be more Would it be more profitable for them to all three work on one title, or each one work on a separate title?
All three work on
They
one.
want more.
It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be the entire company, because it's never been the entire company working on any
Teams.
Bethesda game.
You're right.
It's never been that. They've always had
Yeah.
some people doing stuff. So it's like you have
Yeah,
this,
yeah.
and Obsidian might be smaller, but they have their smaller teams, Pentiment and all this.
Yes.
So it's like Inexile is the one that I think just fleshed out, from what I understand. They just hired
They're doing their first
group
ever like non
build out,
like
and they're
first
doing a non whatever that's going to
Yeah.
be. But imagine
Yeah.
if they're like, dude, let's fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Every time something makes sense to me, there must be something that doesn't make sense. And maybe they're worried about sharing financials, or maybe they're worried about sharing clout. But Todd already stated, I don't know if I'll be here for Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever, or
Right.
or that might be my last game. It's like, dude, what if you let some of that energy or whatever somebody help you? So you don't have to worry about Fallout. Like, let's do this and see how it works. And it would also prove, I think, that Microsoft knows how to build teams instead of buy teams.
Yeah.
Where
yeah.
it wouldn't, we know that it wouldn't be Microsoft after he put it together, but it just, I don't know. It's probably, they probably have had this meeting, and it might have happened a long time ago.
Maybe.
And they were like, let's not, we're never going to
Well,
hint
there's
about
already talks of weren't there already talks of Obsidian? But I know there's like the most recent thing where it's like, oh, they denied us in the past, but I feel like I've heard talks about Obsidian doing another Fallout or something like that.
Yeah. Eternal says also this mentality of let's shortcut our way to the end goal by acquiring studios that may not fit their current infrastructure and existing personnel. Yeah. Same thing happened with Sony. Like, a lot of people like to pretend that only one company buys. They all do. They all have the same issue. That's why I think building them as a team together, one of the big problems we've had at Sony as well is, like, Killzone has died out, and you look at it and you're like, well, that's like their first person shooter thing. Like, that's a huge segment of the market. They've really failed hugely at figuring out a way to build that up. Like, it is a massive gap in their, when you look at their library, you're like, dude, you guys are missing one of the biggest contingents of all gaming. It's like you bought people and you haven't merged them together. They all have that issue. On the other hand, I don't have too many problems with buying companies overall if there's a solid reason to do it. But it does seem to me that, like, you need to, there's some traction that you have when you do buy them. You don't just buy, I just like how diverse Rodman, you have him be the defender in the game. What were you saying?
Yeah. I just like how diverse their purchases are, though. Like, I like how diverse that platform will have. What kind of games they would have, like, not just third person action adventures or whatever. Like, they all are doing something different.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It'll probably never happen. But I feel that, like, in a weird way, Microsoft has had no issue merging genres, so they should be able to merge teams. And what I mean by that is Forza Horizon was a huge change. Gears of War Tactics was a huge change. So that's merging. And by the way, both phenomenal games. So it's like you understand that you can mix and merge things. When you look at NXL had Wasteland 3, is there the possibility of doing a side Fallout and just putting it in the Wasteland 3 engine? Man. Or, you know what I mean? You've got the IPs.
Like a Fallout. Yeah, you got the IPs, dude. Imagine like a Fallout side game back to the CRPG roots and shit.
Yeah, and did you see that Fallout 4's update or remaster was delayed till first quarter of 24? So there's a delay there, which I don't know what that speaks towards. I don't know if that speaks towards them moving people to Starfield to patch it up, or what.
There's the show as well. Like, I don't know how that's gonna all fit in.
There's a what?
The show. If they're gonna do anything, the Fallout show.
Oh yeah, see, so that's what I was meaning when I said the energy that Todd had. Because he's got to put out a lot of energy for running companies, and he's also the producer on the show. So that's why I think, imagine what if the show came out, and you right after that, you're like, and we've got this game, I don't know. Yeah. It's probably a complete, just like, it's probably some kind of complete thing that will just never happen. But it's like, I like to get excited for those kind of things.
You never know, man.
You never know, but I feel like I do know from time of being, but admittedly it's changed. I mean, I remember when Bungie got bought from doing Macintosh and Xbox bought them and they did Halo. That was a huge, that sent ripples through like all of gaming when they switched over to Microsoft. So big things can happen. I wish Obsidian made another Fallout game. I hate Bethesda's route of you can't kill this person because reasons. Did you kill everybody in Fallout 70 or in Fallout New Vegas?
New Vegas.
I
don't
New
usually.
Vegas had, I probably don't try to kill everybody.
New Vegas was so the New Vegas was special because of just it's like the BG3 thing where there's like so many different things you can do and align and fuck with in terms of like the actual narrative. But what I was saying about the strengths is their weaknesses is that like I enjoyed world building of Fallout 3 more. But also, the only reason New Vegas was as good as it is, I mean, Obsidian games are fucking awesome, but they also had the base of what you can do with the sandbox, which helped them immensely. And that's like one of Bethesda's strengths. Like you had like Todd doing like the whole sandbox portion, and then Obsidian doing the whole like, oh, how would the sandbox portion translate into the narrative and change the narrative? You know what I mean? Like that's a cool thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting excited like I did when Spider-Man 2 was announced. I was like, co-op would be great. I'm blind. I mean, by the way, I really like Spider-Man 2, but I'm like, But yeah, these companies need to fix it. I mean, you look at them buying, it's like you got, Sony buys Bungie just out of the blue. These companies are just buying companies, not working with them prior, just like, boom, we got some skins. We worked together. We did skins. We're throwing them in. Microsoft did the same thing. Admittedly, Microsoft, now with the FTC stuff, we see that purchase was driven by Starfield's Sony trying to buy the exclusivity. But you got them. It doesn't matter. We've had bad trades in football, basketball, whatever. Like I said, you put them on the fucking field, and I'm just getting really tired where it's weird. It's almost like AA or like minors in baseball where it's like they split them. They keep splitting them. It's like, dude, you got all these guys? Let's make a super team and go out there. But these Fallout and Elder Scrolls side games don't even have to be huge experiences, in my opinion. This is Kulaban. They're here to satiate our appetite for the bigger games and not have to wait 10 years. Exactly, just like a fucking Gears of War Tactics.
Side games. Yeah, I would love side games in these worlds. We barely see them, ever.
I'm gonna have to check about the killing everybody in New Vegas because I feel like I played New Vegas and I don't know, man.
I never went for it, I guess, but like I have had multiple playthroughs very different because of who I aligned with and stuff like that. Like I had a lot of intricacy.
You know me, I definitely am nowhere near as high on Vegas as a lot of people. So
yeah.
I mean, I get that there was some stuff, but there's a lot of hyperbole that goes around New Vegas, where then when you play it, you're like, people are just fucking full of shit. Like, I mean, so it's hard for me to remember
narratively speaking,
what people are saying versus what it is. Yeah,
but
I would say narratively, I liked Vegas, but I didn't like the world near as much.
Yeah, the world. That's my issue was the world.
It was like a good. It was almost like a really good story in, let's say, a fantasy world you didn't like, and you were like, there's something about it.
Yeah, I also don't like deserts that much. Like the brown stuff. 3 just like held a special place in my heart. And its atmosphere, I just really liked more.
Here we go, though. Here we go.
But yeah, RPG.
Merge the fuck.
RPG.
There we go.
Merge the fucking. If you had both of these together, dude. Imagine what would happen. Yeah.
Let's see. I remember when Microsoft bought Rare. Yeah, I remember that too. That was a long time ago. Rare is happy as claims too. That's one thing. A lot of people are under the assumption that like some of these companies, want to always branch out, but a lot of companies want to make money and be safe and secure. And like Sea of Thieves is safe and secure. And I know a lot of people, especially now when you look at it, it's like sometimes the risk takers, if they want, they can go. But a lot of people are like, I love knowing that we're doing well and I have a paycheck every fucking week. There's other things I need to worry about. You get the entrepreneurs doing the Kickstarters. They're a little bit different kind of person. So anyway, that was the information about the Obsidian, sort of hubbub that was going on. I personally found it to be like not a ton of data. I think it's what we assumed. Had like in the past had sort of gone on. I guess I wasn't aware that it sounds like he had tried to get them to do so many games though, like so many side games, and they'd refused. Could have been the money thing. I know that there was all the weird stuff about Metacritic. I think they didn't get their bonus because it didn't hit the right number on Metacritic and shit that. What a terrible way to live your life, dude.
Yeah, on the mercy of the critics.
To me, the critics. How many critics score well is how many fucking dollars with a face on them there are. And if you made money you should have got your bonus, whatever that sales is. Not a random. What a random filter. Hey,
That's
let's
so
ask
weird.
a completely unconnected group what they think. And you're
Wait,
just
what
like,
if it got like 10s across the board, but it performs super low? It was like a niche game.
So then
you know?
your bonus comes out of money
You're
that doesn't
fucking
exist.
yourself.
Yeah, dude, it
yeah,
doesn't make
yeah.
any sense. It's like
So weird.
And the thing is somebody can say this person's a great baseball player, but if they're not hitting well, they're not a great baseball player. Like, dude, sorry, you're not hitting well. So it's like if they're hitting well, their output is right there. It's a factor. It's a fucking stat. It's like, dude, I'm looking at it. Their output's well. Pay them for it. So the idea and an arbitrary number in Metacritic is, man, what a loser system that was. I think everybody involved probably regrets that, though.
Yeah,
I would assume
probably
everybody involved is like,
because of
wow,
dumb idea.
Let's not do that again. What else do we have for topics? Do we have anything big? While you're doing that, let me look at the Wednesday questions from our Discord. These are awesome people in the Discord who pay money to come in and have me tease them. I'm just joking. I don't tease them. We have a great time in there. Sojourner says, I started playing the finals. I'm absolutely loving the destructible environments. I wish more games would have this level of destruction. Is there a game that does not have destructible environments that you would like to see? Yes, Division.
Fucking every game, dude.
I think
if I shoot something, let it break.
Division 3.
Division would be sick with more. Yes.
Because there's all.
It would add so much to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
it would add a ton to Division, and I love Division
because they have
already.
Like pseudo destruction, and they showed it off like with the car windows and stuff. like that.
Yeah, but it was like shooting through them, right? You know, you can shoot through glass. Like, well, anybody can. But yeah, the ability to drop a grenade on like, something and have some of it explode just a little bit kind of stuff would really help.
I wonder what challenges they would face for level design if they let you like break down a lot of shit. And I mean, Rainbow Six Siege has that type of stuff. That'd be very interesting. Yeah,
Rainbow Six, because it's set up in those deathmatch maps, is so much easier.
Fucking like maps are like that, dude.
Yeah,
like
they are. Dude. They're all over the top of one another, and they've got openings in the ceiling for no reason with a hatch. Yeah. It's not really.
It's like, I'm covering this, and then you get shot from the wall and stuff. Yeah, you just don't know.
So Division for me. Do you have one?
Do I have one like a specific like?
Any games that you would like to see? Some people are saying COD, Remnant 2. COD, both of those would do well.
Dude. I'm trying to think of something interesting. I mean, obviously, any like immersive sim, like if like a Dishonored or a Prey or like a Blade or something like their new one, that you could do so much cool shit with like a sim.
So let me tell you, if I was doing a trailer for Blade, and I was adding that, because he's a vampire and he might be fighting humans sometimes, it would be so amazing to like hint that was in there. Like the trailer comes and he punches through, a wall or whatever, grabs the bad guy, pulls him through. It's always some motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill. You'd be like, oh shit, dude. Yeah, that would be awesome. Sky Going says, do you guys have any favorite holiday gaming memories? One Christmas when I was a kid, I was gifted Warcraft 2, Myst, and the album Born on Pirate Day by Bare Naked Ladies. Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in, it feels like centuries. I played both games nonstop during that school break with friends beside me while listening to the album on repeat. To this day, anytime I hear Bare Naked Ladies songs, I think of those games. How do you hear Bare Naked Ladies songs, though? Are they alive anymore? Unless you're on a classic rock or something. Holiday, like memory, holiday cool thing?
Not really for gaming, no.
Really? For me,
I don't remember like a thing like unless like I got a gift and I loved that game or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did that ever happen?
Oh,
did you ever?
Yeah, my birthday. I was in like grade 4 or 5, so I would. What's grade 4 or 5? Like 10 years old or 11?
I got 4 or 5 would be 10. Right.
Yeah, my friend's present to me was, I think, a Medal of Honor. Was it Rising Sun? It was a co-op one, and then I got it. Played with my dad a lot. Shit, it's fun times. It was a Rising Sun. Yeah, it was Rising Sun, I think.
Kiggery says yes. They're still they're still going to hear Bare Naked Ladies all the time on the radio. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know what radio you're listening to, but it must be bouncing around the earth 1,000 times to get to you because nobody's played that currently. I'm just joking. I have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer for that like you, where it's just like you get a gift or something. I got Strider from my brother, and it made me cry because that upside down level. So it's a bad memory.
Oh yeah, the upside down
Dude, I
level.
weeped man tears at that. I was so frustrated. Upside down level.
Oh god, that level was so hard.
What
dude.
were you doing? Yeah. Oh man.
Shit.
And I liked it for a while. It was pretty on the difficult side, and then that popped up, and it was just, I felt like I was breaking down as a human. The game had just completely defeated me.
Oh my god,
what a bitch game,
man!
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Rick Gaffney says, "Hi, fellas. How are we all? I was thinking lately how gaming and podcasts like this one have helped me through some of the toughest times of my life, mainly illnesses. I was wondering if or how gaming has helped you through tough times in your lives." I played games through a couple breakups or whatever. I guess those would be tough times. Played.
Yeah. I usually I got lost in an MMO or something.
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead came out when I was like getting panic attacks and shit, and it helped me so much. Dude.
Red Dead 2 or Red Dead 1?
2. Yeah, I was getting like bad anxiety and stuff all of a sudden. And that game, that game fixed it.
Yeah, I mean, tough times are... So I have a hard time playing a game if I have tough times. Weirdly.
Yeah.
So the actual thing that should probably help me. Yeah. So I find myself not able to engage with the game because I'm very active and fixing a real thing, and so it's hard to play a game and sort of relax. Yeah. I'm trying to think of
Red Dead, I wasn't playing any games, but when Red Dead was like one of the games where it's like, oh, I can't miss it. Like even if I'm having a tough, like I have to play this game, and then,
Let me. I want to check super chats real quick and make sure I didn't miss any. Okay, haven't yet. So I do. I will say that.
Yeah.
One game almost stopped me from having a good time though, and that's Baldur's Gate 1, because I got it and I opened it up and I slid the disc in and I started to install it, and my ex-fiance knocked on the door, and it was our first date, and she's like all dressed to the nines and shit. She's like, "You want to go out?" And I got to tell you, I was so close. Close to just being like,
no.
it's not going to be. It's not going to be. You're going to have to come back later. But I ended up dating her. I probably should have stayed. But I remember I missed Baldur's Gate 1 by like 6 months because of that. We dated far longer than that.
What?
But I mean, it was about 6. Yeah, so it was about 6 months.
Because of that first date, you didn't play for 6
we continued
months?
to date, and then about 6 months into the dating, I think she moved in, and then there was a little bit more time for gaming. But because we did a lot of stuff.
Christ.
I mean, she was pretty active, so was I.
Oh, you were firing up the game. Little did you know you had to delay it 6 months.
Yeah, because I had bought it, and I believe it was a shipping company. It wasn't like local. No, it was our local Fred Meyer, because this was back when PC games had cases. But I remember hearing her footsteps and not remembering. That's how excited I was, because I wasn't remembering we had a date, and I put it in, and it was like, knock, open up the door, and she's like, "Hey, you want?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh no.
Yeah, I'd love to go out and not be a cool druid. It's fine. But yeah, that was a good time though. It was well worth it. Any others for bad? Anybody in chat? Any bad? I guess I would say bad situations that games. Have helped you
dude,
through?
I was streaming Anthem when I was streaming on Twitch. The beta, and that night I had to go on a date or whatever. But then I think there was like another game. I think Alan Wake. I was starting Alan Wake. I was like, okay, fuck this. I'm gonna start Alan Wake. Either Alan Wake or like Resident Evil 1. One of these games on stream. And in front of my stream, I called and canceled on the date. Said I couldn't make it.
Hey, sometimes you gotta Sometimes you just gotta make that choice, man. Sometimes you gotta just bite the bullet and be like, listen, dude. I'm not gonna have sex for a while because I'm really playing this game. Unless you find somebody who loves the game. You could have been like, hey, do you like Alan Wake? or do you like whatever game I'm playing? Because that's what I'm doing right now. Now, if you want to join, that's fine. We can talk. But otherwise, you got to go.
Oh, there was a time where like I would, back in college, like I would sleep around and shit. But then right after, like I would just be like, okay, it's gaming time. I just like call my PC, be like, yeah, do whatever you want. You could leave. You could stay.
I think for me, one of the nice things is because I don't sleep well, so I always had after date time. So even if they were staying over, whatever, it was like whatever happened, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm still up. So I'm like, all right, man, I got 3 hours of gaming. I'll still need them for waking up anyway, because I wake up early. But
that's when I was like in a long committed relationship, we were living together. She would sleep around like 11, 12, and I'd be like, fuck yeah, it's gaming time.
Yeah.
Just like going.
Maybe that's why dude, there's something so magical, and I tell people this because like I know it sounds weird that I wake up early, but I got to tell you, that's the that's the magic hour, man. You wake
Yeah.
up when everybody's asleep, or you stay up.
Yeah.
There's something, I almost get like a childlike giddiness. I'm like, dude, I'm moving,
comfortable.
I'm grooving,
Like there's no
I'm doing
one.
my shit. There's nobody around. Yeah, it's like I can work out, I can play a game. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm not pulling time away from doing something I'm supposed to be doing. It's my time. Even if it eats into healthy sleep, it's just like it's still my time.
Yep, that's why I do it. That's why I stay up later.
There is some news that Grape Ape wants us to talk about. WCCF Tech says next generation Xbox is going to be powered by Zen 5 CPU due around the 2026 launch to be cheaper than the PS6. That's a rumor, is what it says. Red Gaming Tech on YouTube has talked about this. I don't know their success rate. Not that really matters. We've had people who have no success rate come across and have a completely like real rumor that they've sort of hit, but it just says powered by Zen 5. So I think that the rumor is that it won't be Zen 4, it'll be Zen 5.
God, that makes
not
man,
much there.
this is if they're already like making next gen consoles, like this generation was very lacking, dude.
Bro.
In terms of exclusive content.
Bro, day one is when they're making the next gens. Day one.
Yeah.
Prior to it releasing to people, they will. Sega's talked about this multiple times. They got like they have their Sega Genesis team. They're doing 32X. They're doing Saturn, whatever. That time they already have a future technology group.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's already looking at all the technologies and trying to identify what they want to do. Yeah. I think when it comes down to it, though, it's x64. We're sort of stuck with that. I mean, I say stuck in a bad way because PowerPC was sort of cool and some of the stuff. John Carmack's talked about the positives of the other style and special chips. But I think overall, x64 has enough alterations you can do to the computational units or to the chip that we're hearing might be in some of these for upscaling, which would be great. Do a little side upscaling chip that doesn't have any connection to what you're doing. But I'm not too really interested. And I think there's such a huge... These are pretty powerful. I think the new one we're going to get is going to be powerful.
Isn't this year the first year that like there's been games only for next gen? Like only for current gen?
Yeah, technically this year.
Like the first
So
year.
it's like, and we're seeing, some of the games like Spider-Man or something like that do crazy shit. And you're like, you know what? We've got, see, we're always going to have throughput issues because a 4090 does.
Yeah.
So like, dude, I was playing House Flipper and it was getting terrible FPS. It's like, it depends on optimization. It depends on all this stuff. So there's a ton of stuff you can do with what is considered a low power system.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me too much. Let's see. Had 3 surgeries this year. Not bad year to be getting healthy and just gaming. Yes, indeed. My ex hated it. I'd get home from work at 1 a.m. She wanted me to come right to bed. No can do. ADM says always need drugs to sleep, so I'm good. Yeah, a lot of people do, man. No shame. I definitely have needed my fair share, for sure, of sleeping pills to go to bed. Just one of those things, man. ADM says PC holds Xbox most back, but I like dev inclusion compared to other. PC holds Xbox back? No, they don't. Nobody holds anybody back, man. Occasional game has an issue.
PC holds Xbox.
Remember how it used to be console held PC back?
How does PC hold Xbox?
I don't know, but I don't worry about it though. I mean, like somebody may say that the facts are out there now. Like, you sort of look at these. In fact, it was pretty cool to see Baldur's Gate fix their issue with the Series S so quickly, which is interesting to me. Well, not so quickly, but quickly in a technical time frame. It was interesting to me to see though that they were able to get that running on the S because the memory architecture is so different. It's so different compared to everything else. And now you have, by the way, the Avatar guys were talking about how they got it running on the S. And they didn't have to do, this is what I tried to point out to people. Not every engine requires the same fixes. And they're like, no, we just did a couple things and, we had to work around it, but we got it working. And it's just like, sort of spoils that whole, is it killing everything? Got to get rid of the stress, anxiety, drinking alcohol or caffeine at night. No sugar, carbs would help. Wouldn't it be awesome if it was that easy? Wouldn't it be awesome if it was like all you need to do is not have caffeine or all you need to do is not have sugar and you go to sleep?
I mean, I don't have sugar or carbs ever, so
Dude, anybody who's had true insomnia, not related to like anxiety or whatever, it is like they just have no clue what it's like. Like when you have it, when you have real, like just absolute insomnia, no anxiety, whatever, and you just can't go to sleep, it is ruthless.
yeah, I've never had that. Yeah,
Dude, it's
or constipation.
ruthless.
I feel like constipation is also like
You know what?
that type
That's
of...
funny you mentioned that because I know somebody who was talking about it a couple weeks ago. They were like,
Yeah.
I have constipation, whatever, and I'm like, I think I've lived my life without that issue, man.
That's good,
lucky.
man.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Ryan Martin,
I think that's
$5
worse
super
than
chat.
yeah,
You think it's worse than what?
insomnia.
Dude, I don't know. Insomnia is backbreaking, man. There's been times I can't describe it other than you're just tired as any human
But
can be,
imagine
and
you
you
can't
cannot
shit,
sleep.
dude.
Well, I think with not pooping, you can take a pill and go away. Some insomnia, I've seen people take tons of Ambien and it doesn't work at all, and they're still walking around
shit.
like a zombie.
Yeah.
So, just have some fiber, right? As everybody says, just do
Yeah,
this
there you
one thing;
go.
it'll fix
Just
everything.
eat fiber.
Just
Yeah.
eat fiber; you'll be fine. Oregon says, well, they didn't fix it; they left it out, which is what they should have done. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fix what?
I don't know. Oh, maybe he's talking about the split screen on the Series S, but that wasn't the only issue, and that wasn't the issue I was talking about. But he might be talking about the Series S Baldur's Gate. IP Gaming says, have you ever noticed there's always either good or bad news in regards to Sony PlayStation right before either good or bad news? Wait, this is like the inception of posts. IP Gaming says, have you ever noticed there's always either good or bad news in regards to Sony PlayStation right before either good or bad news? Maybe he means the opposite. So like there's bad news, then good news? Maybe? I don't know. That's weird. Ryan Martin says, what's the longest time you've gone without gaming?
Like in my life?
Yeah. Like in your life, what's the longest time?
Probably a month. I
The
was on vacation.
longest time, a month vacation, like away from your systems. Is that why? What about a choice? What about not a vacation?
Not a vacation.
Yeah,
Probably
not a
like
vacation.
2 days maybe, or like a week. Probably a week.
Man, dude. Do you know, I think that my longest time was between the Sega 32X and the Sega Saturn. There was a time where I didn't have the money to get the Saturn. And I think, no, I got the Saturn right away. I think it was the 32X stopped really having games, and I stopped buying Sega Genesis games. So I'd say 6 months. Probably my longest.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there was a big gap, I remember, because the Saturn came out as a surprise, and I wasn't planning on buying it. I think I was looking for other games for the Master or Genesis. I just ran out of titles. Yeah, I was really excited.
I guess for like first year of college, I didn't play much like on my own single player game. Like I was in dorms always. There's stuff happening, but I would still like I'd go to my friend's house. They'd be playing. I remember even like going to a friend's house and sitting. We would smoke the bong and shit as college kids do, and we'd pass around the controller playing Assassin's Creed 3. I remember that. It was just random shit. Like, but I didn't that whole year. I didn't like sit down and other than Dishonored 1 came out at that time. I didn't like sit down and like
on your
play
own
a game
right
on my own.
So it was more of a social. We got a group together.
But it's like
we're
people
doing
are
social.
here. It's like, oh, I'm gonna play the Kingdom Reckoning. Is like it's just shit would just happen, and I'd play with friends and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like for the most part, I like gaming, so there's always something. I don't play every day for sure. I mean, even when doing YouTube, I might go for 4 or 5 days without playing. But the longest, I think, is definitely between Sega. Because the generations were also gappier, I felt. Like, now we've got these pseudo systems, the Series X. Or so what was the Xbox X, remember, that was above the Xbox One? The Xbox, whatever, Scorpio. So there's been these side systems that were easy to buy, and then you buy it and you want to check out an old game and see if it looks better, and so you might play an old game. But back in the day when there was just like PlayStation 1, then 2, I think I petered out at the end of all those gens, for sure. Let's see. What happened? I've had insomnia since 1996, can go 6 days, no sleep, and when I sleep, I get 1 to 2 hours at most. Man, go check it out, dude.
Fuck?
Yeah, go check it out. I mean, go to a sleep
6
specialist. Don't listen to
days?
anybody in our chat, because people in there are going to fucking say something stupid. Don't listen to me. Go actually get it checked out. You want to do that. That's super important, because as somebody who has it, I can tell you, you hear people be like, oh, you shouldn't take this, you shouldn't do that, blah, 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 blah. There's always some specialist that somehow isn't fucking working for a specialist company but is in our chat who's going to be like, I know what'll fix you. Instead, go to actually somebody who will help you and figure it out. Yeah, a lot of times, dude, I don't know if you've heard this, but a lot of times people with insomnia, supposedly, who have insomnia for long periods of time, multiple days, all the studies have shown they have micro sleeps all the time. There's a particular illness that can happen in a gland, because I was tested for it, that can cause like true lack of sleep, and then you'll die, because you will die from that. But they'll go for a long period of time, and eyes will be open, brain is like brain's like,
shut
fuck
up.
you, for like 15 seconds, and it'll be turned back on. And that restless leg syndrome can cause that, where somebody will be talking to you, they just quiet for a second, and their brain's like, anyway, like your grandpa after turkey on Thanksgiving, where he's got too many carbs, and he's like, fuck, dude, I'm out. Have you noticed that? Have you done that as you've gotten older? Have you had any issues where you found yourself sleeping more, sleeping less as you got older? Has your sleep schedule?
I feel like a lot. It's happened over the years, over the past couple of years, where but it's mostly due to mood. I feel like I'd be like, oh, I feel very tired right now, but then if I push myself, it's like, oh, I'm fine. Well, I got used to earlier in the year, I got used to coming home from work and sleeping because I'd feel tired, but then I was like, fuck it, I'm not gonna sleep in the afternoon, and then I've just had energy all day. Not right now, but I usually.
Not right now. You're like, I'm talking
even it's weird because even like the weekend, the festival happened this last weekend, this festival I was working at, and it was like after parties and stuff, and usually like I'd go to a party or something. This is gonna sound insane, but usually I leave the party at like 6-7 a.m. and I'd be like, okay, I'm going, guys, like I can't stay for longer, and they'd go until 12 p.m. the next day and go to an after party and shit. I'm like, how the fuck are you guys doing that? Like I'm literally physically feeling like my body's getting tired, my back is hurting, my legs are hurting, and there's people older than me, and they're like late 30s, and they're still partying and shit, and I just didn't get it. And then the festival thing happened, and I guess the music was just that good that I just kept going for like 24 hours plus, that I didn't even care. I didn't even feel pain. There's a lot of stuff. I feel like mood affects physical stuff. It's weird.
Not only that, but one-off events. You know, a human can do crazy stuff on a one-off event. It's one of the reasons why a lot of physical tests aren't a one-off event. They're multiple days, you know, because it's they want to get you past the burst of every bit of glycogen in your muscles, and they want to just you're raw dogged by the time. It's like, this is human spirit alone that is driving this person. But yeah, I've definitely had events where we've gone for a serious amount of time. But when you talk about somebody older or something like that, dude, I mean, when I used to run religiously with her name was Wanda, and she was 73, and so at the time I was 27, and I put in seriously fast miles. She was 73, and she would beat me. The best mile I ever ran, or the best miles, because we've run usually 6 or 7. The best miles I ever ran was after a Super Supreme pizza, and because I think I've told you this, where she could hear it when I was running beside her, because I'd eaten so much, and she's like, I can hear your stomach. She was a crotchety old lady, but she could toast me. It was ridiculous. She could toast Ron, who was another guy who ran marathons, and she was just one of those older people who'd done it forever. So her body was like adjusted, man. And I remember we would be running and be like, what the is going on? Like, we'd be going up a hill, and I mean, I was in good shape. Just like a little hummingbird, man. And she'd be above us, Ron, and I'd be like, what the? So it's like, sometimes if those people have done it for a long time, you know, you get into that group you get into the group of martial artists, somebody's done, you know, jiu-jitsu for years, and you're like, dude, I can roll, and you're done after a daily double, and they're still training people. And you're like, oh, I see. That's another level. That's another level person. It's always cool. Insane. The Goggins, Go Hard, which I don't believe. Sorry, I should not even mention that shit. Does anybody have any questions in chat before we wrap it up? I think we got through all. Oh, wait, did I ask Twitter? I did ask Twitter. Got Twitter. I'll go through Twitter real quick. Twitter says the following. Wait, no, Twitter says something. I'm gonna find it. Oh shit, they got 17. Jez says, what's the pirate flag in the World of Warcraft roadmap? I don't know. I didn't see that. World of Warcraft has a flag. for a pirate flag.
Really?
Is there
A pirate? They're gonna have a
because I
pirate
think
expansion?
wasn't the big thing that they weren't going to for years and then it showed up or something? I thought that was
I don't
news I
know.
saw. Okay.
They've always had pirates in the game, but but what were they called? I forgot what they were called. There's a bunch of pirates in the game.
Lands by Tossin. What's up, buddy? Hope to see you in chat later today. He says, as always, we need a discussion about the best Christmas stuff, which we did. We covered that. We actually got the Christmas games and Christmas sort of news out of the way. Maxwell says, have you guys played Against the Storm?
Yes, I played it back when it came out in early access, and I loved it. And I said, okay, I'm just gonna wait now until 1.0, and now 1.0 is out, and I haven't played. I played a little bit, but it's a fun ass game, man. It's like I think it's most similar to like Anno, but on a very small scale, where it's kind of like a roguelike. Yeah, so it's like every time you go into a game, you have like this set of stuff and then these goals, and then it's just resource management like Anno. And it looks kind of like Warcraft, but you don't like command your units. You just kind of assign jobs, and it's all resource management. And it's pretty fun.
And you just described every reason I don't want to play it. The early access.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, and I also don't think the graphics appeal to me in some way. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're a little fairly cartoony.
Yeah. It's almost like World of Warcraft, the RTS, but also its own version.
It's like Warcraft. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like Star Wars, I like Star Wars even though it sucks. Asks. That's a long name. Yes, personal preferences. Oh, yes, I have a question. Personal preference for open world games. What characteristic is the most important? Exploration, living, feeling worlds, side quests, player freedom, map size, main quest line, or method of transportation? I
have to choose one?
Yeah. So you
the most important?
Yeah, exploration, living, feeling world, we'll call that atmosphere. Side quests, player freedom, map size, main quest, or method of transportation.
For the open world, I would say, so in exploration, do you mean world design, level design?
He says exploration and then comma, living, feeling worlds, okay, so we'll do that. Exploration will be the exploration, the atmosphere of the world itself. Is it apocalyptic versus fantasy, that kind of stuff. Living, feeling worlds would be simulation of animals attacking one another, humans walking around, living world, bartering.
Actually, let's take the side quest. What you said about side quests, let's take that and expand that to activities you can do in the world. How they're presented to you. I think that would be how they're presented to you would be, because that also influences other things. Like you don't want repetitive checklisty shit, and I think that's the one thing that kills open worlds for me.
Mine would be, because I have to do this to get to those, it's still always going to be exploration. I need to enjoy the exploration to get to what you're talking about. Choice. And if I don't like it, I probably will, even if I love a side quest, I'll probably be very like,
big. It's a big pillar.
MOJ.
It goes hand in hand.
Oh, dude. And you know what? Honestly, I could have merged them, but he asked, so I was like, I'll just read them all, because he separated those to the point to where it's really difficult. Mojo95 says, what do you think is going on in the Zuck's top secret Hawaii compound he's building? Zuckerberg? Is Zuckerberg building a Hawaii, like a evil boss layer compound in Hawaii? I don't know. Do you know that?
It's like that. Is that type probably? It's like that pedophile type of shit?
Yeah, probably, but not that might not be what he's saying, but yeah, your own private island. I'll tell you what, if I had millions, I'm not that, but I would still build my own. Dude, come on.
Island?
Come on.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? You don't have to worry about drones. You don't have to worry about photographers. You don't have to. It's just like you're out there on your island. You have to worry about tsunamis, because then you'd be on a little fucking island.
I'll make a whole island, and I'll make it be an incubator for startup companies, They just go live there for free, but I own 10% of every company.
That's what you do, man. You're like, and just like you hear all people on Shark Tank are like, dude, if I back up 10, I'll lose on 9. But on the 1, you end up making a serious bank. What would I do? What do I think is going on that? I think Zuckerberg is antisocial enough. He just wants to get away from everybody.
Yeah, probably that, right?
Yeah, he's had social. I mean, even if you don't believe the show, his own biographies and stories, he's obviously has difficulties. If you had millions, I'm not the guy who's going to tear somebody down for having the one fucking thing a person who's antisocial wants, which is their own place separated. We love to tear people down, but it's like, come on, dude. If I had millions, I would I would want a tram so my friends could get there really quick.
Yeah,
I'd want like an underwater.
And I'd want like a special supplier for PC parts.
Yeah, right.
Any new PC part just comes straight to me. You know?
Yeah, or have your own drone system and be like, dude, Best Buy, watch out, the ABSI drone is approaching. It looked like a Fallout 4 gyrocopter. Those fucking flying vessels that they've got in the Fallout games.
Yeah.
Mike Big Mac says, nah, no questions. Quiet week. Maybe take it off. I think he means because of the Sony stuff. Brian Croft says, what do you think the Epic Store's mystery game is? Epic Store has a mystery game? What does that mean? I don't track the Epic Store stuff. Do you?
Do they have like a mystery
once a
free
week,
games
maybe mystery free game?
Oh, okay. They're doing some of that.
I don't know what it is.
Users.
Yeah, I don't follow free stuff much at all.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I'll take a guess. I legitimately don't have a guess. I said I would take a guess. And I have no guess. I don't even know what's out or what's available. On some subscriptions. That's the big thing these days.
They did Prey recently, I think, or
they
like
did
last
Prey.
year. I don't even remember.
Yeah,
they did do Prey. They did
Ransom says
it's always random. Yeah.
Do new games make old ones obsolete? For example, Baldur's Gate 3 over Pillars of Eternity, Tears of the Kingdom over Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring versus Dark Souls. Is it better to play older titles first to savor that experience before being exposed to something new?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes, but I don't think. The Baldur's Gate 3 thing and Pillars thing. I don't agree with the Baldur's Gate 3 thing to the Pillars thing because I feel like just a completely different experience.
Yep.
I think that applies though in a lot of ways because Neo 1, I don't think there's a reason to play Neo 1 now that Neo 2 is out.
Right.
Honestly, I don't.
No, I agree.
You're not playing them for the story, really.
So if they improve on the mechanics and don't regress, probably playing the second is where you want to go.
Yeah, but like stuff like even Demon Souls, like even the Demon Souls remake, Demons usually this happens to a lot of games, but even in what's the other remake that came out this year, Dead Space. Like Dead Space 1 I think had the best atmosphere. Demon Souls I think has the best atmosphere from any Dark Souls and best music and atmosphere. There's always something special you're gonna get. There's a lot of things, but also those are remakes that no sorry, the remakes aside, I meant like the original games. Demon Souls 1 has like a special thing. There's I think it's an interesting question to think about. There's a game where I always say there's some games where it's like, oh, you should if you really want to play the old ones,
right. Yeah, you'll hear that all the time. Or if you really
do want to play the old ones, play them before you play the new one because the new one's just gonna blow it out of the water. Yeah, there's a lot of that too.
Different answers for all the games. I mean, it really does depend on. And so, for example, you look at like Zelda has the same character in both of them, but Red Dead doesn't. Yeah, so then you're looking at, well, wait a minute, and it's a reverse sequel. It's the first one. Yeah, so you're just like, maybe I should play the first one. So there's some.
Yeah, especially with games with strong narratives, like you're always gonna have a reason to play the old one if it has a strong narrative.
Even go ahead.
Or GTA 4 had
that's exactly what I was gonna say, but I didn't want to say the GTA series is definitely one.
Yeah, because GTA 4 has these really neat the driving feels different, kind of a little bit more.
And Nico's a completely different character than
Nico's
5.
Completely different.
They're both
even
worth
the combat
playing.
I think in 4 there's like a thing to it that I really like.
Heavy euphoria is what it feels like.
Yeah, euphoria. Heavy euphoria.
Evan says, should time-limited levels in games make a return similar to Dead Rising? No, not as a holistic thing. No way. If they work in a game, I got no problems. But
wait, someone was saying, what if what was a new game being teased? Oh shit, I need to look this up.
All right, well, you're talking about that. I'll point this out. But yeah, what I'm saying is no, nothing like should they make a return? I'm sure there's a timed mission in a game in this year on some game. I don't like time missions unless they make sense. In Dead Rising, they sort of made sense because they were trying to tie it into the illness and stuff. I don't think it's required, but I also don't have an issue with it being there. Just depends on how the game's done.
I saw a tweet that said Insomniac Wolverine should be a Dead Rising style time management game where you have to work around the scheduling issues from Wolverine being on every team in the Marvel universe at the same time.
Oh, because he's not always around to help.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sumerian Lion says, any news on new Gears? Negative. Wish so. Casual Champ says, why does everyone still play Counter-Strike?
I can answer that because there's nothing like it. I mean, Valorant is similar, but Counter-Strike is Counter-Strike, and it's there's something about the simplicity of the game and the very, very iconic and very good level design in the maps that just it can't be replaced like that. Even Valorant is kind of like Counter-Strike, but it has all these abilities and extra stuff. Counter-Strike is just very simplistic, so most of the complexity of the game goes into like the strategy of what you want to do, like, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have that simple.
Yeah, and just because a new game comes out doesn't mean I stop playing. I'm still playing Arma, but we've had 8,000 but we've got like 8,000 shooters since then. It's like I mean, Counter-Strike is something special about it. People are good at it. Well, they've got a mini like map thing that they did to sort of test out the new editor and show it, but I don't know. It's going to be a while. Vincent Vega says, talk about broken bones. We did. Abzi almost broke his foot while he was at his event. He's even got a cast.
Yeah, dude.
You can hide some opium in there. Start your little drug trading business on the side.
Ibuprofen 400s
with some hydrocodone in them.
Right here, dude. Yeah.
There you go. Aesthetic Frames Catcher says cyber attacks and hackers targeting game development companies and what will the future be like. We talked about that, actually. We even talked about what the future will be. And then Michael says destructible environments and open world games and more character animations. Do you think adding those two will help with immersion? We talked pretty much about this too, where like destruction in some of the games have helped, and overall the exploration and stuff. So I think we've.
And we talked about the weight of animations in games when we were talking about GTA,
which is it does feel way different. I liked 5 better. I had some issues with 4, but they do feel hugely different.
I liked 5 better overall. Yeah. Four's issues was like there's a lot of missions that just felt very, very samey. You have to I have to drive here again. But anyways, yeah.
Terrence says, did you guys talk about Days Gone? Yeah, we've talked about it a couple times. Days Gone happened last week, man. We talk about this stuff pretty much the moment it happens. I think we hit Days Gone not only with Abzi, but I hit Days Gone, or I said Days Gone. He called it Days Gone too, but he's talking about day before.
Oh, the day before, yeah.
Which I translated it because I knew exactly what he was talking about.
It was a failure of a game, yeah.
But yeah, you can talk about Days Gone being a scam. It wasn't that bad. I just had a lot of issues when it started.
The bugs,
Thank you, everybody, for showing up. If you get a chance, check out the Patreon. We have a huge bevy of things going on. We've removed the 48-hour check, so somebody who joins there can join in. You could also become a YouTube member, and YouTube members can also jump in to the Patreon, play some games with us, hang out. That's it. What do we got? Any last thoughts? Any last words before we wrap it up?
No. Enjoy games. Sorry. Enjoy your games.
Enjoy your games, guy.
Yeah, play all the Yakuza games before the new one comes out next month. Peace out.
There you go. Only set aside 99% of your waking time to play all the Yakuza games before that. Yeah, that'll be it for us. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. We will see you on Friday for the other next gaming podcast or next best gaming podcast, and that'll be 347.